protested by himself. We ended up having him being brutalized by the police, and I'm not too sure. People will tell me what ended up of him, where he was, in the Central Intelligence Organization ended up also being with him. Under normal circumstances, for people who are in good democracies, they will realize that if somebody does demonstrate, even if he was blocking the road, the only thing that the police could do was to apprehend him, take him to where he's supposed to do, and refer him to the judicial process. But that's not what happened. We saw instant justice being meted to him. So in as far also as voter intimidation is concerned, I think this has been a broadly spoken about subject, where in we have got people who we are having videos of people speaking about how the election is going to be conducted on the 23rd of August, wherein some people from ZANU-PF are actually highlighting that we will be having different platforms where ZANU-PF people are going to be queuing on their line, and MDC people are going to, Triple C people are going to be queuing on their line and their different tables, and then it will be very difficult. It will be easier for those tags to quickly identify people who would have voted for Mkomana and who would have voted for ED. And such scenarios, it's very dangerous, especially to our voter, our rural electorate, who can easily quickly think that through that, when they get into the electoral booth, then they can be identified. There was also another audio that has been circulating, where there were some people were saying, definitely allegedly from the ZANU-PF, alleged to saying that when people are getting into their polling stations, they are being told to bring in their cell phones that can take pictures, and then you have got to take pictures of where you would have voted for. And then when you come out, there will be somebody or some groups of people who will be waiting to actually have the authentication of where you voted for. And these are some of the intimidations that we are finding from Zimbabwe. There are also physical intimidations, but I don't want to dwell so much on that. Let me give this opportunity to Dr. Maifa to also weigh in on things that are happening when we are so closer to the election.
Thank you very much, Comma Denford. As you have pointed out, we already see that the ground is not very even. People are being brutalized on partisan grounds, and the ruling party is trying to instill a lot of fear in voters, both urban and rural. And like you said, videos are circulating, audios are circulating, and you wonder what can be done to reverse this situation, especially the videos that we watched in the rural areas, where the I think it's the Sabuku or whatever Vidgo chairperson is addressing the whole village and says we are going to vote according to village, and there will be a table writing down names of those who are going to vote for ZANU, and says if Triple C also wants, can have their table there. It's intimidating people. And he says, and tichada kuzoona vanenge vavhotera Triple C. If you say such words, you are already intimidating. So my point is, it's already happening, but how can we counter that? Or how can the citizens be protected from such brutality? Thank you, Comma Denford.
Yes, it is. It is very difficult for either me or any other concerned Zimbabwean to answer the question, to say how are we going to really protect the citizens. Safe to say, I think the only thing that the word that has always been coming out was to say, when we have got such a scenario, if that thing was given to Citizen 100, that threat was given to Citizen 100, it was given to Mkoma Champion, it was given to Mkoma Max, was given to you or me, I would have thought that you would have just said, these people, they are just wasting their time, because my knowledge and my understanding about how things do operate in as far as our election is concerned is to say, when I am putting my vote in that booth, I will be by myself and no one will have to see. When I put that thing in that box, no one really would know. Maybe the only concern that we have, and I'm not too sure if the electoral officers are going to allow that, to say people are going to be forced to get into their polling stations and voting with their phones, and then they are made to take pictures of where they would have voted for. I think that could be a worrying thing, because definitely that's when you will be needed to bring about evidence of where you voted for. But I would want to believe the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, in as much as it has got its flaws, it would not allow such a thing to happen. If it happens, then that is going to be unfortunate, and I think that would be the lowest electoral process of Zimbabwe. Well, we are dealing with the ZANU-PF, where anything is possible with them, and they don't even care. What they care about is for them to retain power. But I think I just wanted to quickly speak about, to say, these are some of the things that have been happening. When we had Job Sikala speaking about circumstances to the death of our champion from the Ali family, we had the police quickly getting to say, what you have done is something that is unlawful, and those people, and he ended up being arrested. Now we have got the history of him still being in prison. But we have got a number of cases where ZANU-PF and its proxies are doing all those things that are violating the provisions of the Electoral Act, and also our national laws. Nothing has been happening. And my question will be, but ZEC, is it because ZEC doesn't have the device that we have, or doesn't hear all these audios that we are hearing? Are these guys not contravening some sections of the Electoral Act? And if they are, what exactly are they doing in order to bring about sanity to our electoral system before we get into the election? When things are happening some 2 months away from an election, how about as we draw closer, and how about during the election and the post-election? Because we have got pointers that are giving us direction that definitely change is inevitable in Zimbabwe if an election is conducted in a credible way. So in the event that we are going to be having the CCC taking power or leading in the election, how is ZEC going to handle this? And if the police are the ones that are brutalizing, if the army are the ones that are being deployed to different constituencies for the purpose of intimidating the electorate, in the event that we are going to be having the victory for the CCC, are we going to be protected by the same security apparatus? Are we going to be protected by the army, to say you have there should be a smooth transition of power? That is going to be a problem. I don't know what is your view in as far as what is happening here, that the police is the one that is starting to brutalize. And if it brutalizes the opposition, do you think that it is going to be mandated to go and arrest those people from either the ZANU-PF or the ZANU-PF proxies who will be intimidating CCC supporters? Dr. Mefa, I want to revert back to you on that question.
Thank you very much. Let me read what one of our listeners has written. Settlement Mang Jen replied to our space and said, the police don't enforce the rule of law. They enforce unequal redistribution of wealth. So, in a nutshell, that person has summed up to say the police are not doing what they are supposed to do. And at times, I've also heard stories that what we see or what we assume are trained police officers are not. It's just youths from the ruling party who get uniforms and button sticks to assault people willy-nilly. It's not really trained police. That's what some people say, but I don't have evidence about it. So I think there has to be a change of mindset in our law enforcement people to say they are there to enforce the law. They are there to protect all citizens, regardless of their religion, political affiliation, gender, regardless of who they are. They deserve protection. But it seems to be different now. They are getting instructions from I don't know whoever, but wrong instructions. So they are not doing what they are supposed to do. And from what you have said, if it's already starting 2 months before the elections, we probably should expect more violence, more brutalization from the police. But if we speak out, if we find solutions now, I think that should be our homework, to find solutions so that citizens do not suffer during the before the election, during the election, and after the election. I think that should be our task, to find the way forward, to say, Sakatingadini, if police are doing this now, how can we have them stop? Thank you. Back to you, host.
Yes, we need to continue speaking out against all that is happening. Before I came to this space, I was on this other space where people are speaking about the corruption within the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission. And they ended up speaking about what especially responding on where you are talking about what exactly has to be done. Some people suggested that we need to expose ZANU-PF so that the international community, SADC and African Union should also really understand where things are going. ZANU-PF should be exposed. And I was saying to myself on that suggestion, yes, it's a noble idea that ZANU-PF has been exposed. But my concern is we have got a history of a blood electoral system in our country. Like I always say, we have got issues to do with the electoral violence in our country way back from 1980. Let me just pause here. I will speak later, and I will give Mkoma Citizen Hand a chance to speak out against what is happening. And then unfortunately he is just gone to the listeners again. I will go ahead with the highlighting the fact that we've got a history of ZANU-PF being exposed to political violence, and this has been happening for quite some time. Okay, Citizen Hand, you can go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I think my device is confusing because I'm using two devices. Thank you. So, yeah, I wanted to talk about police brutality. I just want to recite the video we watched about the guy. His name is Itai something. I don't remember his name, but his name is Itai. So that guy, he went to court sometime last week, after two days after he was arrested, after he was beaten, after he was abducted the police that day. So he went to court, and I read some article which was saying the judge found out that he might be mentally challenged, so he had to seek. They had to help him seek medical attention, but that's what I heard after he was arrested. This is what happened more than 48 hours after he was arrested. But the police did not update anything. The police did not say anything. So what we saw with that guy who was demonstrating alone is that what happens with all other arrests, with all other encounters which involve the police. If they can do that in public, think of them arresting someone maybe privately, maybe they just pounce on a politician's home, and no one is seeing them, no one is shooting videos, or there's no audience. What will they do? If you check on the videos, they even tried to choke him. They even tried to twist his neck. If you check the video, it's seen there. So if they can do that in public, what are they doing behind? What did they do to him when they got to the police station, when no one could say what you are doing is wrong, because they understand that people could protest against what they were doing, but they continued to do it. It does not show any hunger to observe human rights. It does not show any hope that these people at any time might want to observe human rights. And also, this can happen to any other person they arrest, wherever they arrest him. Imagine if it was just at 12 midnight and they got a chance to do that. Maybe they could have taken away his life, just like that. The way they then started beating him in the car, when they throw him in the car, they started beating him like, when we are kukunonzi kupura, kana muchipura munenge muchida kubvisa zvinhu zvakanamira ende zvinenge zvakawanda zvekuti maoko chaiwo kuti mungozvibvisa nemaoko kudai hamutokwanise. You need to use force. This is what they were doing, and it's evident in the video. It's seen in the video. They are doing this in broad daylight. What do they do if it was maybe at night, or it was in a private place? And I'm thinking of what did that guy went through after they take him to the police cells. Then we have many people who have been we have permanent injuries because of this police brutality. We have many people who died in the hands of ZRP. I had an opportunity to listen to Advocate Kenneth Masie. He narrated the ordeal of Itai Zamara, the dangers Itai Zamara went through in the hands of police. I had an opportunity. I heard him saying that at one of the incidences, they were both attacked. He is the lawyer. Itai Zamara is his client. He has come to rescue his client. He has come to rescue his client. Then he was beaten by the police. He was taken to a police camp by a taxi which he just got, so that he could report, because maybe as a lawyer you have to take that road. When he got there, he met more torture, and after that, what made me even to shed tears is that he was then taken to the hospital, and when he fainted, he collapsed. He was then taken because his colleagues then came. Then he was taken to the hospital. Maybe 2-3 days later, Itai Zamara then came to him, and Itai Zamara apologized to say, I'm sorry you had to go through this. So this is the thing, and it's not new. What happened to that guy we saw on video, it's not new and it's not unique. It's not starting today. This is the brutality we have been experiencing. This is the Zimbabwe we have been seeing. This is the unconstitutionality we have been seeing. I don't know how, I don't know what the leaders think and what the maybe I cannot say the leaders, people in ZANU-PF think, because you cannot be a leader and still go after the lives of people you lead. You need to have a demarcation to say, I cannot do this to my own people, to my own descendants. So this is what we have. This is what I wanted to say. And I now think that people, like many people who include Itai Zamara might have their lives being saved if there was social media. Maybe when he was taken, maybe if someone had recorded the video and the video was leaked. Imagine if that guy's video was never leaked. Like today we have another student who was arrested on Thursday or Friday. We don't know if it is an arrest or it's an abduction or it's a something, because the police has not said anything. She has not been to court since, I think she was arrested on Thursday. Then on Friday, they did not take her to court. On Saturday, they did not attempt. And there's no lawyer who knows where she is. There's no friend who knows where she is. There's friends. They also do not know where she is and what happened to her. So it's just an arrest because we believe it's an arrest. But we are here not even sure where she is. No one knows. No one has said anything. No official statement has been issued. So this is the Zimbabwe we are. You can just disappear just like that. Last year, I think I'm taking too much time. Last year, we had a similar case of Mo Blessing Ali. Mo Blessing Ali went missing just like that at a shopping center, Chipanguza down there. They just taken him in a car, just as the witness said. It was one person, there were two, but just like that, 2, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, the person, the story ended like that. So this is the situation we are in Zimbabwe. It's even disturbing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Citizen Handy. It is indeed heartbreaking, and as you are saying, it's not something new. We've watched it for years, and we might continue watching it for years to come if something is not done. This something is what we are looking for. Myself, I have no clue, but what I know is this brutality has to stop. So we really have to find ways to have it stopped, either within the country or whether the international community. Me, I don't understand much about international law or anything, but I feel there's something that we are not doing enough to really make these people stop, because it's too much. And I'm actually shocked. I hate the arrest of Gamu on Thursday, like we are saying. And I thought she was really arrested and I thought she was in police custody. But now what you are telling me is something else. And for a girl child, she could also be sexually brutalized or anything. You know what these people do. And it's so unfortunate. We just hope and pray that people will find her alive. At this moment, let me ask the host to present to us the first evidence of voter manipulation. Thank you. Over to you, host.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Maifa, and thank you very much to Citizen Hunt. it is something that we need to say to ourselves. We are so much ashamed to be people from a country that prides itself of very well knowledgeable, educated people, but what happens in Zimbabwe is not a resemblance of what is highly spoken about us. The other moment I was listening to President Nelson Chamisa, to Vice President Tendai Biti, they were talking about what has been happening or on the issues to do with this forever association of Zimbabwe Fires, how it has actually intruded into the security system of Zimbabwe, what has been happening, and how it has been taking part in issues to do with even ZANU-PF primaries. And now we are going to this general election, harmonized election. We are having fires taking an upper hand, and the personnel from the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, I'm not too sure if it is implied, if it is organized, or it is how they are operating on it. Are they afraid of them? Do they let them do as they wish? Because it seems they've actually taken center stage in as far as the administrative logistics of the electoral system in our country. So the president was saying, we know our security structures in Zimbabwe, and he mentioned about the Zimbabwe Republic Police. He mentioned about the army. He also went to the Central Intelligence Organization, and also included the prison services. These are the security institutions that are enshrined or that are given in our constitution, and he says they are recognized. They are recognized. So he went on to say, this creature called fires, we don't really understand where it is coming from and what it is doing as far as what we are seeing today. But now, I want to get into what President Chamisa and Tendai Biti were saying, to say, yes, you guys acknowledged, and we as Zimbabweans, we acknowledge that these are the people, or these are the apparatus that are given to us with the constitution, and they've got their code of conduct. They are supposed to do their work. I'm not too sure, as Citizen Andy was highlighting, that as we see the video of this Itai who was being brutalized by the police, if they were following the confines of the constitution, if they were following the confines of the police act. So this tells us that we are working with an institution or institutions that either deliberately disregard what is being given in as far as our constitution is concerned, the supreme laws of the country are concerned, and it is a worrying factor. The reason why I'm saying it is a worrying factor is, in Zimbabwe, when things do go wrong, especially in as far as the security of people are concerned, the next thing is to go to the police station. But now, if the police themselves are becoming the perpetrators, I don't know really what has to happen. And this is what has been causing so much of confusion in different countries, where the law is not availed to the people, and people will find means of trying to protect themselves, which is so dangerous. A lot of civil wars have actually been caused because people would have said they do not have any protection from the police. And when I'm saying this, I'm only talking reality. I'm not perpetrating, and I'm not speaking about issues to say people should really take the law into on their hands, but we've got to speak the violence that is being brought about by the police, what is to happen. And as Citizen Hande had just was coming in, I wanted to quickly make a review of what used to happen when the elections were coming to being in Zimbabwe since 1980, 2000, 2002, 2005, 2008, 2013, 18, and now 2020, 2023, where we have evidence of people being at the mercy of ZANU-PF militia, as well as the police and the army. I'll quickly give an example of what happened to some opposition members when we used to be in this movement for democratic change. I think most of us here, we know one political activist by the name Tafazo Msekiwa. And I know most of us also know this political activist Guisai, and everybody also know Honorable Job Sikale. To just mention a few, there was a system, there was a time when we had an election in 2005, and when one of the MPs from Bikita West passed away, there was supposed to be a by-election that had to take place there, and political parties had to come and go to do a campaign there. I remember when the late Chenjerai Wunji was still there, and he worked in cahoots with the police to brutalize the likes of this political activist that I just mentioned. And what ended up happening was the fact that Vanatafazo Msekio and Job Sikala had to literally jump into the mountains. Why? Because they couldn't sleep inside the houses. They were not running away from ZANU-PF hooligans. They were not running away from the war veterans, but they were actually running away from the police. Not running away from being arrested, but running away from being persecuted by the police. Now, when we have such a situation happening, it means we are having a country that has got no law to actually execute, and that is a worrying factor. It is a worrying factor because we are getting into an election which is so important, and all eyes internationally are vested in what is happening in Zimbabwe. So I just wanted to quickly say what exactly has to be done by the citizen before coming on to what has got to be done. What are some of the effects, and what happens when people realize that this is what is being done by the police? We do not have any protection. And to be frank, and frankly speaking, Citizen Hande, you actually said, do we have a situation in which ZANU-PF leadership could be aware of what is happening? And if it is aware, what steps are they taking in order to avert such a situation? I'm sure, and I'm 100% sure, that they are very aware of what is happening, because really, if the police doesn't do its work properly, they've got the protocols that are done. We've got a police commissioner, we've got the minister of the police, we've got the Home Affairs Police. All these people are supposed to know, and even the president himself. And I remember President Emerson Mnangagwa actually posted saying that we are all right as ZANU-PF because we've got all, we've got ZEC on our side, we've got the police on our side, we've got the army on our side. And when they say this, it shows that if you do things that we think that they are not right in as far as wanting to set the narrative, then we are going to be using the police, and that is what is happening. And quickly, I will speak about what also happened on the 3rd of August, when the election took place, and it took time for the election result to come. When people had to do what is prescribed in the Constitution to actually demonstrate against what was being done, the cooking of the electoral results, you saw what happened. But the police, in the first place, the police tried to disperse the crowd, and then they ended up bringing out the army, and the army literally used live ammunition to the deaths of about 6 people who passed away. So when we have got such a system in place, Zimbabweans, they know that when we are close to an election, this is what happens. Pan election, yes, in Zimbabwe. Punishment as far as persecution of people are concerned, by the militia, by the police, by the army, and by anyone who would want to use ZANU-PF for their advantage. And when the opposition says that we are being affected by this, no one will hear. Even if a professional police would say they would want to come and arrest that person, you are taken to the court. Mostly when you go to the court and say, I'm a victim of political violence, you are the ones who is going to be called a victim. You are taken to jail. This is what is happening. We are talking about Gamu that is just disappeared for quite some days. we are told she was arrested. But now we go to the police and find out from them what is happening. They will simply say, we do not know where she is, but she was literally arrested by the police. No one knows where she is. So it's unfortunate that we are under such circumstances. Dr. Amaifa, you had asked me to give you the evidence of political manipulation. Unfortunately, at the moment, my network, not network, but my technology is cooking up, and I couldn't go to play that. But this is the issue that is taking place in our country, that on this side we have got the police that is ransacking the opposition. On the other side, we also have got the SEC that is also working with the ZANU-PF to make sure that we are not going to be exposed to the voters' roll, to make sure that even if the people are tampering with the voters' roll, they do not have any problems. Remember what happened now, that ZANU-PF is now aware of the number of polling stations that we have, to the tune of 12,500. ZANU-PF knows that. Why? Because it got the information from the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission. Unfortunately, to the opposition, we are not going to be having that. What does it mean? It means we will just get to an election without knowing what is going to be done. Do you think that the same Zimbabwe Electoral Commission that is suffocating the opposition in as far as not giving it the voters' roll is going to take charge of the polling stations when those Varakasha are coming to intimidate people on the polling day? It's likely going to be a different thing altogether. But I'll quickly come back to you, Citizen Hande, if you've got something to speak about this topic that we are having now. Thank you.
So I'll maybe add some more on the police brutality we saw recently. I will just maybe say that look at how the way they beat him and the way they did it. I don't think it's not. I don't think it's actually unconstitutional, and it's actually a crime. So imagine the police can commit such a crime in a public place. How do they enforce the law? In which law do they enforce when they can, when they have an ability, when they are breaking the same law without any fear, without anything? Then the other thing I wanted to say is that, look now, people we saw there, they were not in police uniform. Who were they? What if by mistake that guy had died? Was the police going to take the responsibility? Was the police going to say, to explain what happened? There were 2 police officers, I think. Then there were other 3 or so who were in SIV. So this is the situation we are dealing. This is the government we are dealing with. This is the ZANU we are dealing with. Then the other thing I wanted to point out is, look at the vehicle. They smuggled him into. They forced him into the vehicle. They taken him with. It's not marked anywhere. That is a police vehicle. According to the video we watched, it was a white twin cab. It's not marked anywhere. That is a police vehicle. What if he had died, maybe just by mistake? Maybe they had no intention to take his life, but maybe that had to happen. Was the police, was the government going to be accountable? So this is the government we are dealing with. This is the brutality we are dealing with. This is the situation we are all in. So, and this is what is happening with all other cases. It's just by luck that people will decide. Itai Zamara's lawyer, when he was narrating this ordeal, when he got to Harare Central to get help, they even started torturing him again. Now that he just told them that I was beaten by the police, so I have come to report. Then everything changed. When you get to a police station and you seem to be a victim, police will be like friendly, trying to sympathize with you, trying to. But when you just mentioned that I was beaten and police were involved, they, in case it changed, they started torturing him until he had to find someone to alert his colleagues. But this is the situation we are living in. You can just disappear just like that, and that's all, and you won't be seen again. And no one will say it was police or not. It cannot be determined. Police can just say these were thugs. They will not even say anything. They will just keep quiet. They will just keep quiet. We have another case which I heard on Studio 7 just last month. People in Umgusa there, they were attacked by a ZANPF marked vehicle, and they were taken into that vehicle. And later on, their colleagues were alerted by the police at Nyamanjo police station that we got your colleagues here. How did they get to the police station? How do you abduct someone and go with him to a police station? Who does that? How does that happen? How do you explain that situation? How do you how does that happen? And the guys who allegedly abducted the ZANPF people, they were just detained for less than 48 hours, and they were released. And the rumor saying that they are still in the streets and they are still looking for the same opportunity to 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 to, to, to intimidate. So this is the situation. This is the Zimbabwe we are in. We are just citizens who are on their own, who are just trying, but it's difficult. So this is what I wanted to point out. Then yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mkoma Citizen Hand. Thank you very much for your submission there. Indeed, people are on their own, and it's very worrisome. And like you rightly said, we are not too sure, and it's not accurate to say police brutality, because there are so many people that are working together, or people who seem to have gotten powers either from their political party or affiliation. We have Mahure for ED, Mashikiro for ED. I'm sure all those people have been given authority and power to also torture people. So it becomes very difficult to trace any cases, or to trace any information leading to, finding out what really would have happened to a citizen. Like iye wokuyuze mwana wedu uyu waka-abductwa. The news said she was arrested soon after taking her exam. And then when we hear the word arrested, what comes to a normal mind is that the police were involved. But if she never went to the police station and she's still not accounted for, hatichazivi pamwe masvikiro for ED akanomusunga, or ifazi hazvinzwisisiki, or ECIO straight. So there's so much confusion and lawlessness. And this is what we need to try and put straight before our elections, so that our people are really protected. We need accountability from each security sector. We need accountability from each citizen. Now kana ndasungwa, ndikasazikanwa ndasungwa nani, ndazoiswepi. There is no accountability, and we can't run a country like a banana republic like that. So this has to change, because even us here, we might appear to be safe because we are not on the ground. But if we are not careful as we approach the elections, we might find that our family members are arrested and we can never hear about them anymore, because the people who arrest are so many, and they are not traceable. There's no accountability. So I think that's the first thing that has to be put straight. Who has the power to arrest? And what's the process? What's the procedure? Kana munhu asungwa, what's the next step? So that even if somebody is arrested, I know where to follow up. I know where to bring legal aid to. So it's all confusion. You don't know where to go. You might find the person at offer weeks later, days later, because there's so much confusion. So I think this is one of the things that you mentioned, Citizen Handed, that's worrisome. A marked car, marked on partisan lines, picks up people, tortures them, leaves them at a police station. Saka pane difference here pakati pezeta rapi nezano or CIO nezano. It's like everything is now intertwined, interwoven. Hazichagoni kuseparata the government from these other security sectors or whatever companies. So it's a thing that we have let go on like that for years, but we have to fix it before our elections, lest we lose a lot of lives, lest we have our families in and even ourselves victimized. Thank you, and back to you, host.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Maifa. Thank you as well to Citizen Hande. I just want to quickly respond to what you spoke about, especially to do with the issue of saying when somebody is being taken by the police, and sometimes you see that they do not have they are in an unmarked vehicle. There is so much of confusion on that. You see, I would want to believe that Dr. Amaifa, it might look like there is confusion, but this is something that is well planned, and these people, they know exactly what they want to do and where exactly they want to take their festive prey. You see, you look at the modus operandi, how Itai Zamara was eliminated. And I would want to quickly agree with Citizen Hande to say the fourth industrial revolution has actually assisted Zimbabwe as far as protecting us from what would have actually come horribly wrong, and as far as our politics is concerned. Because all the things that happened with Rana Itai Zamara, all the things that happened with Rana Tundra Ndira, and a lot that lost their lives, it was because the things were just done. Why? Because people are afraid. You can't retrieve that person from the police, but that's what used to happen. But now, because of what is happening, all these things are happening. Video from them, a police video, and I think because they are realizing that this thing has been captured, and we are realizing that they are realizing that people have been seen, they might conceal information to do with the my number plates, and so on and so on. But possibly the identity of those people who captured him could be found in place. So how can we sort of stop that question? I think it is also to do with the use of our gadgets that we have, and say, no, we need also to make sure that when that thing happens, let's make use of our technology, and also speaking out against all this is happening. Now, today, yes, we are not as many people here, but remember, we've got our Facebook that is listening, we've got YouTube listening, Change Radio listening, and also we are going, after this program, we're going to be referring this to a number of groups for people to know what is happening. And by speaking out, people will really understand this is what is happening. Quickly, before I go to Mkoma Max, there are other issues that I've just realized has to be known by the people, to say, when people see that somebody is brave enough to speak against the regime, this dictatorship, what they now when they see him being assaulted and under such heavy beatings like that, when we are getting close to an election like this, it's going to be very difficult for most of our moderate electorate. You see, they will say, no, this is where we are being taken to, and what is the reason for us to vote? But when we are speaking against this, we need to also mobilize people to say, despite all these things that are happening, but it is our right to make sure that we go and put our mark. Ndanga ndichida kutaura nekukurumidza futi nyaya yakaitika kuna ana Cecilia Chinemberi nevamwe vakasiyana siyana vainzi vakasungwa. Munhu anotaura panapa kuti I've been abducted or I've been beaten up. You go to the police. Vana Cecilia Chinemberi, they were actually later on being accused kuti makanga maita misrepresenting nyaya dzenyu, vakatogara muchitalks about that because of what they have been alleged to have done. So it's a very complicated thing, but we need to soldier on. Let me give this opportunity to Kuma Max and speak out on this subject that we are discussing. Thank you. Ngoma Max, if you are speaking, you are muted.
Okay,
okay, no problem. I understand. Thank you very much. So this is what I just wanted to quickly speak about. And there is one other thing. Pane imwe picture yatakamboona some time ago when the late President Morgan Tsvangirai was having, I think it was a rally somewhere that the police had suggested that it was not sanctioned by the police in Highfields, and because of that, this I'm saying in answering to the fact that tinofana kuatreat zvinobudisa kunze kumaonaka, asi kuti we are dealing with a dictatorship that doesn't care about what happens. You see, when you see a political principle or a political leader who is going to be beaten up by the police to an extent that picture, I think most of us might know, kuti when he was going to the court, zisora the late Morgan Tsvangirai ranga rakazvimba, musoro wakagerwa uinenyaya kuti paine chipanga paine mavanga anga aripo, hembe mabhatani akabviswawo. Why? Because it is not because of ZANU-PF thugs. That happened because of the police. They literally handled him, shared him with a baton stick, and I'm sure even when he was in the custody of the police, so much happened to him. And these are some of the things that we need to say. Okay, when we have the likes of Tendai Biti, when we have the likes of President Chamisa, when we have the likes of the late Morgan Tsvangirai being at the mess of the police, and we know that we are dealing with an organization, we are dealing with an institution that doesn't regard the rule of law. And when there is no rule of law, it means people are going to be having problems. More so as we are talking about issues to do with all these things when we are drawing closer to an election. It is going to be a very, very difficult moment for us to say Zimbabwe is going to be having a free and fair election when we are having the police doing this. After speaking about the police, we talk about voter intimidation. Who doesn't know what the vice president of ZANU-PF, Kembo Mohadi, spoke about during a particular convention that they had in Mashonaland, when he was literally addressing the chiefs and the Masabu, telling them that what you need to do is to make sure that you go with your subjects to where you want, where they are. Go with them to the polling station, and you must know what exactly has to be done. This is a vice president of a political party telling them. But what does the Constitution say about the responsibilities, duties, and what is supposed to be done by the chiefs? The chiefs, are they supposed to be political? they don't all regard all those things. This actually takes me back to the issues of saying, yes, in as much as people will simply say, no, the Triple C, you are not doing your things in a proper way. You must know our electoral system where it is, how we are, the electoral environment where we are. Ngoma Champion, I'm not too Ngoma Max, I'm not too sure if you are still all right, if I can give you Chimuti, or else in Zogangu Namkoma 1600.
No, I'm good now. I'm good now. Thank you, Brother Denford. And I just want to thank Dr. Maifa, Citizen Hand, and everyone on the space, and say hello to my sister there, Dr. Diamond, Champion, Pelagia, Love Mo. How are you guys? What I want to say is that I think if we want to look back and also at the present, we have got a political party, a government that doesn't learn, a government that believes in in force when it comes to dealing with issues, when it comes to dealing with things with their citizens. ZANU-PF doesn't repent, and as we are going towards 23 August, we're gonna witness more of this human rights violations. If you want to go back since 1980, even during the time of the liberation struggle, for them, Tengesi Munairowa is supposed to be beaten parallel and such one. So it's something, it is their culture whereby they believe if you are in opposition, the only way to send their message is by beating you up, is by using force. So I think we can debate, and I'm afraid to say that ZANU-PF doesn't change. ZANU-PF is getting worse each and every time. Even if you can see now, we have got this group called FAZ. So they're up now. They've gone another step up in terms of their instruments of repression, and they will continue to do so. They don't care about the international community. They don't care about the constitution of Zimbabwe. They don't care about Zimbabweans. Only what they want is to retain power. At the moment, like now we've heard that they've deployed some military personnel in the rural areas. This is going to continue. Let's not forget that in 2008, when Mugabe lost, they did the same thing. The war veterans and the army was deployed in rural areas just to intimidate, and sometimes they use force there. So what I'm simply saying is that we have a government that doesn't repent. We have a system that believes in torture, and this is going to continue. And I'm afraid that we are going to lose more lives because ZANU-PF knows that's why they are deploying people in the rural areas. Why are they deploying my personnel, army personnel in rural areas, if they know that people love them, if they know that the rural areas are their strongholds? Who do they want to intimidate? ZANU-PF knows that on the ground, people are tired. People now look my pensions are, people are getting some even $80 for your pension. Like other video are saying that but so it doesn't make any sense for you to travel to go and get your pension. So they know they know they know they are bond not adona zvokuti kana maticha, even anyone anotambira mari civil servants also are complain. So there's no need for anyone to campaign to say ZANU-PF mustn't go. ZANU-PF. So what is the next step? Next step is to intimidate, to use force, and they'll continue to do that until after the election. Because even if you look back, what happened before, after all those human rights violations, nothing changed. There was no punishment on Zimbabwe. Those sanctions, they don't feel them because you are right. They are good. They've got mafia. They've created some syndicates, so that they can still loot, even under those restrictions that will be given to them by the International Monetary Fund or the international banks. But they've got a way to subvert them and continue to loot. So ZANU-PF, to them, they won't change as long as they remain in power. What do you call this? SADC. They do nothing. They'll just come and endorse the same elections. So I'm afraid, Susi, as an opposition, we need to think twice to say what are we doing different compared to the other elections, so that we can counter this regime, or else we'll be here again next time tichichema nepolice brutality isiri kupera. Vanhu vanongosungwa, ana Joana vakangosungwa, but at the end of the day ndo vakandenge vatovapuwa mhosva. Even as we've got people like Job Scala who are still in prison today. We have people like Jacob Ngaruvume vari muprison. Now I hear kuti mwana musikana uya haasi kuwanikwa, and nothing is happening to them. It's okay, because at times mazimbabwe sinongoti zviri bore. Last time pane one person akamira mustreet akarohwa, vanhu vakangotarisa, vanhu vanotoramba vaitoita zvinhu zvavo, votongoverengawo newspaper kuti tichamuverenga mangwana munewspaper, and we do nothing. So I think there's need for us to change our attitude as Zimbabweans, because tikaramba takangorira docile, this government ndo zvainotoda izvozvo. They always want to instill fear in us so that we don't react. We just only read the news and that's it. We do have a big problem, and we need to change our tactics. We need to change our behavior. So I believe that maybe in coming weeks, something positive, because already we have changed our tactics. So far varongotivhunza kuti macandidates ari kupi, isu tiri kuti macandidates atinawo asi hatikudzii. So hopefully something is happening there, and I believe that we are going to have new tactics to approach this 2023 elections. We need to change, guys. In terms of polling agents, we need polling agents from our polling stations. We need vehicles to move around. We need, tinoda vanhu vakatosimba chaiko chaiko, kuti vakanzi tokupa $10 kana takavhundusirwa nefazi, because this fuzz is going to be there on the days of the election. And already this fuzz is intimidating people. This fuzz is working with the police. Ichisungisa vanhu asi ndo vanenge varohwa vanhu. So we need to see how we can counter this, because ZANU-PF already yatova neimwe another step, yatova neimwe method inova nefasi. So we need to also see how best we can counter that, to make sure we safeguard my elections are clear, and also to safeguard our citizens, because already now we have lost a girl akatosungwa hatizivi kuti ari kupi, and takanzwa futi kwachirumanzi kwakasungwa futi vamwe, kumasvingo kunomwe akarohwa futi. So we need to make sure that we protect our own, because vanhu vacharamba vachitotya vachiona kana ivo those ones who are the leaders of our movement in those communities vachirohwa seizvozvo, vachisungwa vachingonzi vaenda. So I think tine problem, a very big problem, and I hope kuti maybe, I don't know, we need something to counter the moves this tyrant. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nkoma Max, for your submission. And you brought to my mind before independence, kuma late 70s, 79, 78. Honestly, I now remember how villagers were killed. Pines papungwe. Munhu aitopiswa, or they would ask the family members to chop nedemo, to chop their own father, the father of the family, Hans Mutengesi. And people didn't seem to care. Now it's coming back to us. Zvinhu zvatakarera for years tikaregerera zvichiita, taitoti kuda ava vaurawa vatengesi vari kuita kuti Smith azoramba ari in power, not knowing that it's a seed of brutality that was being sown mukati mema-citizens, and now it's turning against us. Now takurambawo kuti izvi aiwa apa dai maita so, now we become the victims. So at times, let's be careful what we condone or what we ululate at. Tichitopururudzira kuti apa vatigonera. So it will come back. It will come back and hit us so hard. And they've become so seasoned. Vanhu vajaira kuuraya for so many years, for decades. So kuti kufa kwemunhu means like nothing to them. So it's so unfortunate. And like you have rightly said, we have to come up with plans to protect ourselves, to protect every citizen, because every citizen has a right to say whatever they want. Azvirevi kuti kundiuraya ndiyo solution. If I don't want something, it's my right to say, ichi handidi hangu, and then leave me alone, and go along with those who want whatever you will be proposing. Let me not waste time, and I'll give this time to Koma Finals.
Mukoma Finals. Oh, ndandati hamusi kutaura kare, regatidedzere kuti Mukoma Finals kana doctor.
Aizvo handisi maziona zvandaisa kutimeline kuti kana ningi an aspiring president achiniti Mukoma Finals imozonditi finals hazvishande. Right. Good afternoon, Mukoma Danford, and thanks for the space anyway. Very engaging, a very good topic. Dr. Mai Morisei, thanks a lot. I appreciate you, Zimbabwe, and everyone else on Sister Diamond. I see you had migrated to this space. I wasn't aware because Mazwana was trying to meet in Mukoma Danford. My alerts, I would have probably come a long time ago. Okay, on this issue here of what intimidation is, there's nothing new. I think we've discussed this, we've exhausted these topics for such a long time. The ZANU-PF has always done it all the time, and whether where they trained people to just beat people into submission, intimidation. They did it with the prison officers. When we recruit prison officers, but they were not. Once rapid recruitment process as prison officers, then one of the embeds replaying, but in every other province. And Mugabe used to do it quite well. And that process, I think, because of the new regime, I think it's worse than the Mugabe regime in the way they are doing things at the moment. You can see how they've tried to restructure the Ataiti Bodagezi into that phase that's intimidating people across the provinces. And the sad part for me, most of these communities, Zimbabwe constituencies, they know the members of FAS, because some of them, they're not even CIOs. My members within Maruzeva, members within towns, they are well known, rogue elements, people that belong to FAS. They're not even my CIOs, some of them. So you find our communities, they're beaten into submission. When I watched I think you remember Itai Makombe, the guy who demonstrated the other day in Harare. Of course, there was a bit of choreographing when you follow the trend of what happened and who he represents. ZANU-PF through and through. He owns a lot of mining claims in the Midlands. He's affiliated to Tagwirei. So a lot of his history is ZANU-PF, that guy. So the issue then becomes, can I get a choreography? We understand. But what I'm trying to put across is ZANU-PF would do such things just for the optics. It's part of intimidation. So this will continue and has continued. My worry though, Mukoma Danford, the people on the ground. The passion we show is na somebody are on the ground. Do we show the same passion when it comes kuti muna anorowa vanhu vakatarisa kupondwa pano yakanoti mapurisa 4 agoponda pano panenge pana vanhu kana kuti 150 munhu agodzurwa agomanikidzwa kupinda motikari nevanhu vasina kupfeka uniforms, and people just watch. So the people on the ground themselves, are they that much pacified by the regime to an extent yekuti munhu anongoti inini haisi nhamo yangu ndinofirei, amaite zuo ningi ndidzokere kumhuri yangu ndiri mupenyu. So it's something, I don't know whether it's a mindset yekuva so pacified to that extent as a people collectively. If I go to Zimbabwe ndikaona pachirowa munhu nemapurisa and wandu kuona kuti hatori nangana mhosva, I would not engage. I would rather walk away. And that's the attitude of probably across a lot of people. I don't want to get involved, which is sad, really. And I hope, for my upcoming elections, I'm fearing for my polling agencies because these members with FAS will be at every corner and intimidating. So we pray kuti, things will be done accordingly, particularly on safeguarding, because in the council, I think it's called to act. Like if I hope I don't misquote them. It would be 4 polling agents per station. I think that's what they said. But then what else do we need in terms of manpower, polling stations, yayo? Of course, I'm praying we guys, we can also help donate, adopt a polling station. It won't cost much to pay 4 people if you're based in the UK or the US or Australia. We can adopt each polling station towards their upkeep. Polling agents it did happen Panama elections where they end up getting chingwa ne poloni. So these are the things probably in terms of capacitating them, my resources. One thing we can do is whatever we can change issues as a people, particularly on supporting them financially. I think that's the only thing we can change for now. Wanda in terms of ZEC, in terms of yes, we can make a lot of noise, but also our leadership knows exactly what to do in regard with ZEC as an entity. I think Advocate Mahere did the right thing when with the anomalies, the preliminary inspection year voters roll. She did the right thing. She took it to ZEC offices and lodged a complaint, which we are not happy with the process. This is where we are. So let the leadership do what the leadership can do. Isusu, let's capacitate our fellows that are on the ground. And I hope the result we desire, people will vote. I've always been against this argument in Comaden 40. An argument that means you diaspora, hey, why not register to vote? Yes, I didn't, but I've managed to capacitate people on the ground. I had 12 people that I sponsored. Saka, those people that I sponsored, that's my vote. It's not on me. Because if you've got 6.3 million registered voters, take 1 million away, voter apathy. The other 5 million should be able to vote ZANU-PF out. So it doesn't really matter whether I'm on the ground or not, but on the ground can still have enough numbers to vote ZANU-PF out. So I'll leave it there for others to speak. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mukuma Finance. And it's important that when you have got resources to capacitate those on the ground, it is really imperative that we implore each other that we need to help. What's important is the ultimate outcome that is going to be that we'll be having after the 23rd. So the issue of financial support for those people on the ground, irrespective of the fact that you are going to physically come to cast your vote. But before I go to Zimbabwe, I see we have got a number of speakers that we have here. I just wanted to quickly highlight on issues of my concern in as far as the topic is concerned. Police brutality, yes, mataura pamsoro pe murume akarowa ari pamsoro pe motikari yake. But there's also a trend that has been happening and that is likely going to continue happening. Yekuti varume nevakadzi Forever Associated of Zimbabwe, they seem to be taking the law into their hands, and it seems they have been endorsed by the regime. Modus yavo yai kutongoti vaite zvavanoda, and then kana ukatadza kuva uri unoita zvavanenge vachitiita, and then mapurisa obva adi obva auya. So it seems there is a collaborated effort by the police and these guys kuti mission yavo ienderere mberi. So broadly speaking, police are brutalizing people for not aligning to what these fast guys are doing. There is so much also of what is happening as far as political intimidation on the part of the police, because or someone else and then at the end of the day, you are going to be tended to be accused. We have got people Cecilia Chinembiri, they became accused people after having reported issues on the ground. And then for voter intimidation, there are a number of things that I have also highlighted before. We have got some videos, we've got some audios that are circulating. The possibility when you are going to the electoral booth, you are going to be forced to go with your gadget, your phone, so that you go and physically take a picture of where you would have voted for, and then just away from the polling station, there will be people waiting for you to say, and this is such a kind of intimidation. Why? Because definitely you will be needed to show evidence. There was also a video that was coming out. People, there are going to be two tables at the polling station where people who are going to be voting ED are supposed to go on a particular table. Those ones for Advocate Chamisa will go on a particular table, and then they will simply say, "We know good what Papi." Because of some political illiteracy within some of our people, there's a likelihood obviously ndikaenda patable yakati ndichazozikanwa kuti ndavhotera papi. So these are some of the things of concern as we are drawing closer to the election, and we need to speak against this. I wouldn't want to waste so much of time, but let me quickly give this chance to Zimbabwe to go ahead with his submission. Thank you. Zimbabwe, you seem to be unmuted.
Sorry. I was talking to myself. Thank you very much, Nkuma Danford, for the space. Thank you very, very much. And great topic. And thank you very much, Dr. Maifa, for the co-hosting. Thank you very much for the space and great co-hosting. And to all the speakers, Max, Final Citizen, the Hunter, Thinking Zimbabwe. Thank you very much to all of you as speakers, and thank you to all the listeners. There was recently a young lady, yes, who was arrested from UZ. We don't know where she is. And then there's also somebody else from CCC who was arrested. We don't know where they are. And then there is also the gentleman from CCC Mutare, who was, I think he was assaulted. And also there's this organization called FAZ. And then let's add the vehicles that were bought by ZANU-PF. And then let's add the previous intimidation that has been happening in terms of those that are human rights activists, those that are opponents to ZANU-PF, as in majority CCC and previously MDC members, and also the journalists who uncover corruption, looting, and human rights abuses. They've all been attacked by ZANU-PF in the past, and it looks like the usual modus operandi is going to be at play this time again. In the gold mafia, I'm just trying to line up my chain of thought. That's why I'm bringing you all these topics at the same time, just to joggle your memory. In the gold mafia, a figure was mentioned by the angel Hubert. So he calls himself an angel, and a prophet of some millions that ZANU-PF apparently is being sponsored by E.T. Mnangagwa. The last time that an election occurred on this scale, the reports were that each ZANU-PF election agent was given roughly $100 for 2 days. For 2 days, $100 for 2 days, right? And then if you look at the document that was published by ZANU-PF on the 30th of, dated 30th of May 2023, it says that they intend to field 37,500 party election polling agents. If you do simple maths, very simple mathematics, and you say 37,000, if you can work with me, please, 37,500 multiplied by 100. That comes to 3,750,000 US dollars, just using the previous budget that ZANU-PF had for its agents. Now, let's look at how many vehicles have been bought. Rough estimate. Let's just say around 1,000 vehicles from the beginning of the ED presidency until today. Okay, a brand new Toyota Hilux, because they seem to like Toyotas quite a lot. You can Google this. It's not something that is. It's not a secret. Brand new Toyota Hilux is costing somewhere in the region of around 40,000 pounds sterling, 30,000, which is, let's just do a quick calculation and just ask Google. Let's just say 30,000 Great British pounds into US dollars. Yeah. In total, what you will get is 37,000 US dollars. Let's just say 40,000, including shipping. That's how much they're going to pay. That 40,000, yeah. Keep the 3.75 million on the side. Okay. That 40,000, yeah. Multiply that by 1,000 vehicles, plus minus. You are getting 40 million. That's how much you are getting. Likely, they could have bought around 500, 700 vehicles. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Where is this money coming from? Recently, the Zimbabwe dollar has taken a big nosedive. And we all know what was the warnings that were issued to the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe and the government of Zimbabwe over monies that they were paying out to Secunda. And Secunda is the one that has usually been used to bring in buses and vehicles. If you look at the profile photo that I've got, there's two ladies holding a flag upside down, but behind that is another photo. It says, in quote, "I am guilty of taking exporters' money, Mangudya." Yeah? Mangudya took this money just after the elections of 2018 from exporters. And he raided the foreign bank accounts, for foreign currency accounts of ordinary Zimbabweans. And every single ministry had their money taken away from them. Every single ministry, every single council had their US dollars taken away from them. And that money went where? Now, let me remind you, or let me give you some breaking news. Nicola Sturgeon, the former First Minister of Scotland, today has been arrested over financial wrongdoing in Scotland. In other countries, those that are involved or those that are suspected of being involved in financial wrongdoing, regardless of how wealthy their countries are, regardless of how wealthy their parties are, they're arrested. But we are in a country where this does not happen, to the extent that our currency takes a nose dive, a huge nose dive. And what does the government do? They print banknotes like crazy, Zimbabwean ordinary banknotes, because they are trying to suck out the US dollars. And then when people start suffering, they send the military out, they send FARS out, and then they send the police out to go and beat people up with an impending election. So to see these things as isolated incidents, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to say we are doing ourselves a big disservice. You have to look at the whole thing like a pot. You cannot make a vanilla cake without vanilla, without flour. A vanilla sponge cake without vanilla, without flour, without eggs, without milk. You need all those things. But in the case of Zimbabwe, if you now go and then to try and substitute for the fact that the flour has been looted, you add 2 liters of milk when in actual fact you're supposed to add just 200 milliliters of milk. This is now where they are printing money. Yeah, they're adding 2 liters of milk to a cake which needs just 200 mils. It needs just 200 mils. The country does not need loads and loads of a bond note floating around. It needs just a certain amount. What you will end up getting when you try and bake that cake for the required time, unowana mbodza zvakafanana nekubika sadza, ukawanza mvura kukwata kwacho hakuperi and haribvi. Zimbabwe rine sadza which is just enough to fit in one hand. Sorry, ufu which is just enough to fit in one hand. And ufu wacho iwo wanga wachifanirwa kushandiswa kuti tiite sei, kuti tibike sadza kuti tidye tese. Hwanokorwa neZANU-PF vachinotengesa mbeu. And now we can't feed ourselves. Now sadza rakuita mbodza. And they are going around beating the children of Zimbabwe because they, as the parents, as the fathers of the nation, have failed to do their job. To see things in isolation is not right. Let's see everything as it is. Why is there police brutality? Police are brutalizing people because they don't have money. They are being bribed to go and beat people. They are not earning enough. And then they go and beat people, and then they get paid money on the back end. Mafia. That is how a mafia operates. Masoja are not getting enough. What happens? They get bribed by those that have looted money from nostro accounts. Now they've taken money. After they've beaten people, they get promised more money. They go and they get the money after they've beaten people. We can't see things in isolation. We have to call it out for what it is. Voter intimidation, why is it happening? They know that they're going to lose the election. People are hungry. Elections all over the world, they are primarily about food in the stomach. How well, how much better, how many more things will people be able to buy when they vote in a particular party? It's not about how well you speak. It's about how much prosperity will you bring as a political party to people. Where you fail to bring prosperity, where you bring hyperinflation, where you bring street children being arrested, where you bring brutality. In a free and fair election, what is supposed to happen is that government is supposed to be voted out. So because of their failures, they are resorting to violence, brute violence against children, against women especially. So I'm going to say it one last time. We will do ourselves a big disservice if we see things in isolation. I'll land there for now. I could have talked about health and other things, but I'll land there for now. Thank you very much for the time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Koma Zimbabwe, for your emotional submission. Indeed, the victims become victimized again. people are already suffering from poverty and other things. Now they are being politically brutalized. And I don't think that's the way to go. And because of our time, we are going to try to have as many speakers as possible, and we will limit our speaking time to about 3 minutes each so that we accommodate everyone. Mkoma Citizen Z.
Thank you, Doc. Stanford, thank you. Everyone else, thank you. With me, I'll open up with this, guys. If you go online at this moment in time and you check an entity called FAS, it is one case of abuse. In a country of 8 million people, in a country of 18 million people, in a country of about 6 point something million voters, in a country that is regarded as as an authoritarian regime for 43 years. Now, on this one, you have to be able to take your passport, your Zimbabwean passport, and put it underneath your mattress, and use the other passports that you have, or use the location that you have, and think not like a Zimbabwean. Think like someone else, looking at it from outside. One case of abuse out here, it is amazing. It is a job well done to the Zimbabwean government. You have managed to reduce the violence in elections, they'll say. And even when they put their reports, they'll say they wouldn't even point out that one case. The reason why I'm telling you this is simple. In reality, FAS has abused more people than the one case. In reality, they are doing more damage than what was done in 2018. But our inability, or let's say our ability, to connect things that are not supposed to be connected and not report and make noise on this election, because FAS was not there in 2018, was not there in 2013, it is there now. Our inability to do that turns around and creates an illusion that we cannot explain. Let me explain it to you this way. If my mother was abused, let's say by someone, that is my mother being abused by someone. If my sister gets abused, there's equal reaction and the equal feeling has to come in, because that's another abuse. Then someone has to look at it holistically in the house and say there's something wrong. But if I therefore report the abuse because I have seen it on my mother, report it casually because I have experienced it with other people, it becomes illogical. The reason why People have been dying since the beginning of people. Yet every death shocks us. It's because we turn around and start from fresh. The reason why we hold our rights today is because we start from fresh. No one turns around and says, Zed, you are black. You had 6 million people die during slavery, and we add another 6 million during colonization. Yeah, and add another 6 million. So your death today is insignificant because of the history of death. That's not how human beings work. We work on shock. Our inability or our ability as Zimbabweans to not to be shocked is our downfall. Let me explain it this way. What ZANU was doing in the 70s shocked people, but they got used to it. What ZANU started to do in the 80s, people said, it's ZANU, They've been doing it. At that time, we did not know we're going through a genocide. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. 8 years. We called it a genocide after the fact. After we opened our eyes and said, oh, wow, that is crazy. We called it an oppression of ZANU-PF after we've opened our eyes. But did we see it happening? Yes, we were seeing it happening. Same as this abuse, corruption that we are actually seeing with this election. No one is looking at the basket. Everyone is looking at picking one, putting it there, one, putting it there. These guys are abusing. Western 2018. The only difference is we do not have memory as human beings. The problem we have is we cancel things out. It's a psychological, it's a mental advantage that sometimes turns around and becomes a disadvantage. The ability to turn around and say something that is stressful, you just turn around and block and start over again. Yet it comes into us as a disadvantage. Yet it's an advantage to ZANU-PF. Faz has been going around here abusing people. 2 weeks ago, they were in Gwanda. Yeah. 3 days ago, they were in another village. Teachers had to turn around and go and sleep in the forest because they feared. 3 months ago, the war vets were terrorizing villagers. Have they stopped? No. They kept on terrorizing. Now Faz terrorizes. ZANU-PF terrorizes. Police terrorize. The collectiveness of it, by the time we get to the 23rd, we cannot say from 23rd, this is when we start lifting up our pulling the hairs out of our heads and saying, wow, this is crazy. We have to be able to cry now because we know, we use history and say, we know where this is going. This person is an abuser. Yes, he's abusing new people, but we know where this is going. If we do not cry and make noise now to any and everyone, we cannot make noise on the day, because on the day, the reports are going to be clean. They are going to be clean. And what will be making noise, the same people that are turning around and supporting ZANU-PF are going to come to us and say, you are not making noise here. Why are you making noise now? Then we have to go back to the lived-in experience and say, you see there, that's what it was. This is why we're making noise now. Then the question becomes, why didn't you make noise there? I cannot have a house that is being broken into and keep quiet. Then when my neighbor's house gets broken into, then the day they turn around and come, the police come out and say, hey, what about me? I got broken into last month 4 times. The police will say, where is the report? You didn't come and tell us. You didn't make noise. Did you tell anyone? No, I did not. Why? Oh no, in this place, very high. The whole street is dangerous. Guys, no one goes back on elections. They only go back in reference. Every election is clean. It starts off in a clean white slate. And then from the white slate, what we record, what we shout out, becomes what turns around and keeps and makes sure that that thing is not white anymore. But if we do not do that, this is my fear. We have become numb. Maybe it was in the beginning, it was an advantage, but now it has become a disadvantage because ZANU is using it against us. That numbness that we turn around and they have created for ourselves, they are turning around and saying, oh no, you are taking it. Because you do not cry. Then the question becomes, to those that have turned around and seen loads of suns rise and set, even today in our lives, you go to a funeral, you cry. Why do you go to a funeral and cry? Why don't you go into a funeral and say, I am 45 years old, I am 65 years old, I am 55 years old, I have seen so many people die. I am not crying, I'm turning on the radio. Because I do not have time to cry. We cry because we are human beings, we're understanding what just happened here. We're equating that person's own loss or not being here. This is an election of 2023. In Zimbabwe, we've got more young people now, yeah, from 18 to 40, more than any other voting age group. They hold over 60% of voters. And the majority of them are the ones that are so-called first-time or second-time voters. So you say 2018 was a fluke. Now they're experiencing ZANU-PF for the first time. So how are they supposed to turn around and deal with that, what they are seeing with FAS and ZANU-PFs back to their old selves? If the elders that have been turning around and experiencing this are keeping quiet and not even dropping one tear, not even making noise, that means they're experiencing this by themselves. They're trying to make sense of it. They're trying to cry and make noise, and the elders are turning around and turning on the radio and saying, no, we dealt with it. Even in Kukrawundi, what people experienced in Kukrawundi, that was their experience. What you therefore experience now, even they have to stand up and acknowledge that this is the first time of you being beaten up, being abused, being oppressed, and relate and say, we went through the same thing, but we understand your pain. What we're doing now with these 2023 elections is to turn around and illusion ourselves to the reality that is going on. Guys, FAS is terrorizing people out here. In every polling station, in every center that people were going to check, FAS was there taking people's names, intimidating voters. Even if you're going to vote for the opposition in the rural areas, let's be honest with each other here. If someone comes to you and takes your name, You need to be an unthinking person for you not to go home and sleep without thinking to yourself, why do you think they're going, what are they going to use the names for? This is ZANU-PF we're talking about. They're not turning around and taking the name so that they can send you a thank you for voting card. It puts intimidation into the population. And if we do not therefore turn around and ask out the people that are outside, scream for the people that are inside that cannot scream. Therefore, I do not know people what we're doing. This Zimbabwe, therefore, we have to turn around and just give it to Zambia. Because now we've turned almost the same as ET. When ET, it reminds me of when ET turned around and I'll finish up with this. When ET turned around and went to the TV, when the TV station recorded him, turning around and presenting the mortuary and saying, you're not honora, you're not honorisisa. We all understood as Zimbabweans that was unethical. No one celebrates that. So now we've turned into him with his dark heart. That now we turn around and say, it's ZANU-PF. We all understand. They've done worse. They've done it before. They've done it before to other people. To these ones, it is the first time. It is not that they are not going back in their history and saying, oh, Denford, we abused you. So we don't want to turn around and abuse Doc. We are going to abuse you because you are used to us. To Doc, this is the first time. It is as painful, as shocking as everything that Denford went through. And at that time, requires the same agency. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, citizens. You have just highlighted a number of things that people might have taken it so lightly, but it affects the whole electoral process. But that is the essence of us gathering together to share these ideas. And when we gather like this, we get to know what is going to be done only for the good of Zimbabwe and for the change of the status quo in the country. So ndoda kuti ndimboverenga ma-comments andaona pa-comment section ineyi. We have got Amai Zook's Kitchen. Before I read this, I just wanted to say it is important that we need to know how much the opposition has gotten as far as the resources are concerned. And in comparison to ZANU-PF, we all know how they can manage to have my resources. So my Zook's Kitchen says, good morning, we are fundraising to support polling agents in our upcoming August 2030 elections. Please donate as little as just a simple $1 to support. Ngatifambe atese kuma post. That is the message from my Zook's Kitchen. So, and the Handa philosopher say, I pray that the current speaker speak using English. We are also listening. I would want to believe he is he doesn't understand either Shona or Ndebele. So as we will be speaking, yes, we can include different languages, but let's also bear in mind that we've got people who might not understand our local languages. Then we go on to, this looks very important, to Janja Wudi Tonderai Mambanje. He says, or she says, thank you, gentlemen, for the space. In Zimbabwe, we are facing a lot of economic challenges. We are spending about 150 hours without electricity, 5 days without water. I think most of us, we are ready to be polling agents voluntarily, and we shall see after we have want to remove the 44-year beast. This I just wanted to quickly highlight to say, when you see somebody who is on the ground saying that they are prepared to voluntarily become a polling agent. It says two things according to my view. One, that they understand that we are working under very, very hard conditions as far as the opposition is concerned. We do not have resources. We do not have the funding that is coming from the government. And then secondly, they really know that we cannot manage to go another 2 years or even 5 years with this status quo. That is the reason why we will be having people actually coming to volunteer and say we need to really take it upon ourselves and say we are going to be polling agents. It is important that we understand. Lastly, before I go down, Namkuma Champion Wadzika was going to be our next speaker. We also need to understand that some of the police brutality that we're talking about, it's likely going to be exerted so much just now as we have realized that both the House of Assembly and the Senate have just passed the Patriotic Bill, and most probably or most predictably we are going to be having it signing it into law, and that being the case, meaning to say the police are going to be at our mercy to an extent that the moment somebody contravenes the provisions of the Patriotic Bill or the act as it will be, then we are going to be having so much of intimidation. And as it stands, it looks like a lot of people are going to be having problems as we are going closer to the election, and say, even as we are speaking on this platform, it will be very difficult for people to say what exactly have we to speak. I always want to refer to Citizen Z when he says that sometimes it's important that we say this is unconstitutional, and sometimes you simply say I've got to say it as it is. ZANU-PF doesn't realize that some of the reasons why it was put on targeted sanctions is what it is rightfully, what it is doing right now. We know how, when the elections came, I think I spoke about it before we started, just as we started the show, to say, talk about the political manipulation that is taking place, both from ZANU-PF and the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission. When those people who put those sanctions, they were actually saying, I'm not condoning sanctions, but I'm only saying, in order for the sanctions to go away, I thought they were going to actually align themselves to what was provided, but there's nothing like that is coming out. You make a comparison in as far as the resources that we are talking about. The ZANU-PF people that are said to be on sanctions in each and every constituents that we have in Zimbabwe. ZANU-PF have got brand new double cab vehicles that are ready to kickstart the campaigns. Our MPs, our councillors, they actually have to walk about some kilometers in order for them to access their electorate. And someone is going to cry and say, we are under sanctions. And Champion, go ahead.
Makadiko zvenyu vateereri, makadiko vaparuri vechirongwa, mukoma Denford na Dr. Maifa nevamwe vese. Munoziva, when we look at our Zimbabwe, we had a privilege which we should be able to articulate and say this was supposed to be thank you for all of us to be able to build a free, fair country or a democratic country that enables each and everybody to prosper. But the problem comes when we have got some little puppets who masquerade as a patriotic people, allowing this because to them what is important is money, not their future. What is important in their lives is to join the system, not to be able to reinvent the system and be able to say we should be able to build a country that we must be proud of, and that we must be able to say this is a growing nation. This is a nation of which, when we talk about it, we all feel proud. And guess what? We all must know before we talk much about police brutality, I think there are some of the things that we need to talk about as Zimbabweans comes from all walks of life. What is important at this point is to make sure that all these institutions that administer pain and brutality have been built by people who does not have the mentality of a growing and a thriving country. What they think in their minds is that things must be done the way how we like, and anybody who wants to join us must join us according to our accord. But now, when we talk about police brutality, it is because all of us here, we are seeing a problem that we have. One of the problems that is thriving in Zimbabwe is failure. And this failure is the one that manifests itself through institutions that are being captured to administer brutality and pain to the people of Zimbabwe. And this must be a time we have to wake up. This must be a time we have to think differently. For the reason being that you mustn't be forced to choose whoever you want. To all those who believe in brutality, who believe in failures, like Emerson Mnangagwa, who believe in failures, like Robert Mugabe, who believe in mediocrity, and who believe in incompetence, like Nick Mangwana, are the ones whom I'm talking about right now, to say, please wake up. Because tomorrow is going to be you who is going to be in that predicament. So, what is the issue? We must act on police brutality. Police brutality is not good to anybody. You are going to be a victim yourself, even though you are going to support them. You are going to be a victim too. So what we need people who are conscious enough, who knows that for a country to be built, it must be an institution that must be able to administer. So we need our institutions to be free of political capture. We need our institutions to be operating, because these institutions, they owe a mandate to us. They don't owe a mandate to ZANU-PF. They don't owe a mandate to the ghost of Mugabe, to the shadow of Mugabe. And the shadow of Mugabe in this respect is Emerson Mnangagwa. We all know. So it is for all of us here to understand what is at stake, to understand the loss that we have been going through. When you have got a political party that has failed for 43 years, it must be a sign that you must be able to speak and say, this is not allowed. We need a country that must be able to grow, a country that must be able to function. Celebrating diversity, celebrating minorities, respecting rights of those who are in minority. Those who are disabled must be able to thrive. Those who are poor must be able to be happy. But when you see a country that does not have all those features, then you have to know that this is a country that is destined to go nowhere, not to go far, not to have a step, because there is no leadership to talk about. And when we talk about leadership, we are not talking of a leadership that beat its people because they failed. That beats its people when it sees that they are failing the economy. They spend much of their time talking about Chamisa as if Chamisa is the economy. They spend much of their time talking about CCC as if CCC is the economy. CCC is not a road. CCC is not a currency. Deal with issues that bring bread and butter to the people. And let's allow our politics to be politics of a competition of ideas. When you lose, you have lost. Because what I really know is that progress is being built by competition. But if you find a country where there's no competition, a country where there's no progress, a country that is reaching its detour, then you have to know that you don't have a country. Right now we are discussing, we are talking, but what comes to mind, a country is an institution. If a country does not have institutions that are independent, then there's no country to talk about. Where are we? We are just in a land. We are just in an island that has no direction. Right now, some of you can't claim that you are a Zimbabwean. Why? Because it's a sin. No one loves you out there. So this is a country of lost identity, lost leadership, where brutality thrives, where voter intimidation thrives, where unknown organizations that does not have mandates are being found in police stations. Who are they? What do they stand for? What is FAS? You would find yourself in this situation where someone will be praising manipulation of voters' roll. Someone will be praising the falling of a dollar, the falling of anything. Why are we in such a state? It's because of failure. So police brutality in Zimbabwe, it is a manifestation of failure by those who are in power. You like it or not, they are your taxpayers or they are your masters. They are even putting you on a payroll. Understand this, my brother and my sister. Whenever you are being given a pay for unproductive propaganda on Twitter, on Facebook, on WhatsApp, then you have to know that you don't have a country to talk about. You are on an island that has no direction. So police brutality must be condemned. Failure must be condemned. And it is upon you. When you choose a leader who is going to allow you to have your democratic rights as per constitution. Because we know, or I know, that ZANU-PF does not follow any constitution. ZANU-PF does not follow anything. They follow brutality. They follow their insatiable appetite of power. And actually they are obsessed with power without meaningful improvement of the lives of the people whom they are leading. This is what has taken Zimbabwe to a standstill, to a stagnant position, to a stationary position, where Zimbabwe cannot move forward or backwards. But actually, we know that Zimbabwe is moving backwards, actually, and it is now being in 1901 as per terms of development. Why? It's because of manifestation of failure. By who? By ZANU-PF and its shadow ghosts that were left when ZANU-PF was taken away to the graves by Robert Mugabe. 5 years that we had since 2018 or 2017 up to right now. It is a point that shows you that there is nothing except failure that is being celebrated by some of our colleagues here because they are getting some meager salaries to do so at the expense of their country, at the expense of their future children, future offsprings. So it's time for you to act. It's time for you to think about the future. It's time for you to think about Zimbabwe. That must grow and evolve beyond people of failure or people who are littered with failure. People who have written their own legacy of failure, corruption, and all sorts of things. Right now, you can't talk about gold mafia, chrome mafia, procurement mafia. Why? Because those who are in power, who have failed beyond reasonable measure and doubt, are still there. And they want to outline and to guide development from their graves. Like what the fake doctor, Amai Mugabe, said. Robert Mugabe will lead from the grave. Right now, the ghost of Robert Mugabe is leading. Who is making this to happen? It's through that failure manifests itself through the ghost of Mugabe called Emerson Mnangagwa. Enacting a patriotic bill is a sign of failure, sign of no progress, sign of even no identity. Right now, Zimbabwe does not have any identity to talk about. There is no brand to sell because already the brand to sell is dead. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Koma Champion, for your emotional submission. Indeed, it is a painful experience where people are suffering from all manner of, affliction, brutality, poverty, health system failure. Everything is just on the verge of collapse. So we really have to. We should not condone the brutality and the voter intimidation. We keep fighting, we keep educating our people, encouraging them to vote despite the intimidation. And for police brutality, we keep even trying to knock sense into our brothers not to ill-treat us. We are one. Thank you very much. At this time, I will give the mic to Koma Knife. Knife?
Are you hearing me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, hold on. I was in the store, so I just took off my headphones. But yeah, guys, I totally agree. We're in a really messed up spot right now, and it needs all of us to be serious about how we're approaching this. So I'm still recommending, because we've been having Dr. Shumba on these spaces, and he says he is rejecting this. So we need to hold him to that. We need to, if we can send Dr. Shumba the link to this space so he can come, and he can come and put his feet to the fire like we are all doing, right? So we really know and know that he is part of this resistance of these rigged elections. So instead of just only saying it in the background in spaces, I think we need to be able to have all of them stand up by their word So let's invite Dr. Shumba also. He needs to come and stand. I mean, we know there's a new Patriotic Bill. I think with that Patriot Bill, there's certain names that are being put on that list. So if he is serious about a revolution, he should come and sign up to get his name on that Patriot Bill list so we know he's committed. So please send Dr. Shumba, Maxwell Shumba, the invite to come to this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Knife, and it is always a pleasure to have you with us, and your submission gives so much inspiration, not only to the few of us. I'd want to believe to a number of people that also listens to your shows that you also play around. Now I think we are going to Mkoma Maxi. Can I quickly go around with the people that haven't spoken, and then down out Zimbabwe once spoke. Let's have also Nkoma Jabulo. We then go to Dr. Diamond. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, guys. I'm hoping everyone is okay. Let's continue, especially with such a space that seeks to educate, to inform, and to get ready the people, so that when we go for elections, people are ready for what is about to happen in Zimbabwe. Because a lot of times you find people are deprived of information, people are deprived of such privilege, where we sit down, we discuss, and we map the way forward. So I'm very much appreciative, especially of these Twitter spaces, and also of you, Mkoma Denford, of coming up with a topic that people can discuss on, especially pertaining to the elections. We know there are a lot of people that are listening, and let's try by all means to give them a certain gleam of hope, so that we don't present a hopeless situation that is that we can't fix, or where there is no way forward concerning what we have presented to the people. You have raised a topic on police brutality and voters intimidation. We have seen this one, Mkoma Denford, and you know one thing about ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF has never changed its tactics. ZANU-PF has never changed its book. ZANU-PF just goes to the same book since 1980, and it brings it out. From the 1980s, guys, voter intimidation has always been there. This is why even with Kukuraunde, where people were killed, because they were trying to suppress a different voice. We have seen the 2000s where MDC voters and being suppressed and being beaten up and being arrested, and some even being killed. The reason being is ZANU-PF is a very unpopular party, and the quicker we know as Zimbabweans that ZANU-PF is very unpopular, and we educate people using the stance of saying, because if you're popular and you're loved by people, why do you need to beat me up when I already love you? When I know that I have to vote for you out of the genuinity of my heart, I have to vote for ZANU-PF. So why would you need to beat me up? Why would you need to intimidate me? Why would you need to go and check which political party that I voted for on the day of voting? So to me, what is happening in Zimbabwe, it's a sign and it's a stance that is revealing the weakness of ZANU-PF. That ZANU-PF does not have it in the bag. It does not even have the votes that it says is theirs. Guys, let's go back. Someone posted, I think it was Advocate Pofu, he presented something. He says in the ZANU-PF primary election, he had 101,450 something people that voted. So, and we right now, Zek says it has registered 6.5 million. So where are the 5 million votes? Where are the 5 million votes? If ZANU-PF's primary election all of it consolidated together only at 140 something, or let's say 1.5 million people. Where is the 5 million people? So right now ZANU-PF is in a panic mode. This is why they are trying to get ready, setting up their training agents. They are doing everything that the opposition is not even trying to do. Why is a party that is claiming to want to attain 5 million votes panicking when it has it in the bag? Like most of the ZANU-PF comrades will say, no, we have it in the bag. So if you already have it in the bag, where is the panic and why are people being brutalized? So to me, we need as Zimbabweans to be able to read the signs and understand from the signs what they mean. You will never beat up someone to love you. You'll never torture someone who already loves you and who has already chosen you in the first place. So the stance as Zimbabweans that we seek to do is we need to try and stay away from violence and protect ourselves as the citizens. If we feel we are in a space where we cannot fully express ourselves, I will advise especially people that are on the ground in Zimbabwe to just shun away from politics. You know who we are going to vote for when the day comes. You just protect your life, because ZANU-PF, even if you talk how much about police brutality, Denford, this thing has been happening since the 80s. Police brutality didn't start when Triple C was formed. Police brutality was there in the 80s. People were being arrested. What killed more people during Kukurahundi was not the soldiers in the bushes where they will go and they will shoot at people, it was the camps that were set up. Some of you need to go and read about the camps that were set up all over Matebele land, where people will be grouped there inside, tortured, no food, no water. Those are the camps, and the people that were running the camps were police officers. So some of these things, guys, we need to by now to have learned. We need to have learned from history, and we prepare ourselves according. This is why Nelson Chamisa came up with the strategy and says, let's do the mango strategy. That was from a wise point of view to protect the voters especially in the rural areas, because you cannot be shouting and singing, you know what, I support Triple C, when you know that at night they will come for you and they will kill you and they will kill your family without any remorse. You see, because they will try to protect their thuggery, they will try to protect their corruption by all means. So to me, guys, this, we know we are on our own. Mnangagwa has told you he is the police, he is the army, he is everything. So you are on your own. The only thing that is left between you and change is the day of voting. Go out there and let's go out there in numbers and let's go and vote out Mnangagwa and his militia, so that we have a democratic space for people to freely express themselves after the election. Because ZANU-PF, guys, it's some of you may, and I think ZANU-PF now he has even become worse, because they are not being bluntly going out. They are using the police. We have seen the report of Nyatsime, where I think 13 people have been arrested. We have seen the report of the UZ students. We have seen Triple C members that were campaigning, I think, in Maswingo, that have been arrested. We have seen the report of these UZ students. We have seen the guys, it's been report after report of people being arrested that support the opposition. We have heard them being, some of our members that support Triple C being blocked from campaigning in certain areas because ZANU-PF feels. We saw the video of Fatsai Mahere the other time when she was trying to confront Zek concerning the report that was published. We saw the riot police coming at her when they were recording that thing. We all saw that video making circulation. So it already tells you the stance that the police and the government has taken against the opposition. You cannot be arresting the opposition members on a daily basis, and yet we have your people as the ruling party that are sending out videos or inciting violence on every stage. We've heard people saying, we will kill Chamisa, we'll beat up Triple C supporter, we'll do this. But are they in jail today? None of them are. So, guys, we are on our own, and we need to be strong. And if you feel, I will say this, if you feel you are not in a safe space for you to be expressive, your vote is your secret. Go in there, you know what you need to do. If you support Triple C, go in there and express yourself and vote for your candidates. Do not worry about the motivation to always say, let's vote Triple C, let's vote Triple C. You know, and the change that people want, they know the change that they want. So for all their safety, guys, because I will tell you, I will end by saying this in Comma Tenford. Some of the people, you need to go and read the human rights report that they publish every month. You know, some of us, I think we need to read that, how much human violation is happening in Zimbabwe on a daily basis. Some of it doesn't even make it to Twitter. You need to go there and read about it. Some of you will be shocked at the statistics and the numbers of the abuse that is taking place on the ground in Zimbabwe on a daily basis. We have seen it coming even here on Twitter, where people are being arrested without any evidence. Right now, they failed to produce proper evidence against Job Scala, and they've done that for 1 full year. So you cannot tell me that this is not brutal, this is not the violation of human rights. There is no evidence that they have against him, but still they've held him without evidence. They've denied him the bail. They have denied him everything. So one of the major things I think we have to do as Zimbabweans, we have studied the environment. We have seen that the environment is hostile against us. So let's tread there, and let's tread very careful, because each and every one of you is in this space who is a registered voter, and those that are at home, we need them in numbers on the 23rd of August. We need them to go out there and fully express themselves on the ballot, how they feel about the current government. And we need people, even those that are at home and even those that are already abroad, that will be there on the 23rd. Let's start volunteering even to be agents, polling agents. Which I even mean, when I'm not registered to be agent, I will make sure I'll be there on that day, and I'm committed that I'm going to safeguard the vote and make sure that there is peaceful elections when the day of voting comes in. I think this is the message Comma Denford we need to be sending out to even people that are in diaspora, because the Lokuzeni the date has been sent, and let's encourage our members that are in the diaspora to start preparing. Not gonna tora a 1 week leave from your work. Okay, Viki 20 from the 15. Let me go home. Let me go and man the polling station that is closer to me. I'm going to go and look for the councillor. I'm going to look for the MP, and I'm going to put myself up for voluntary work with what needs to be done. Do they need men work? I'm available. I'm going to man this polling station so that there is transparency. Let's go out there. Let's defend the vote. Let's encourage people that are in the diaspora to go out there even in numbers, and let's send a clear message to the current government. We no longer want you, but we are not going to be violent about it, because we are very democratic people. So if we want to set a democratic tone, we are going to do it in the proper democratic way, that as the world watches will see that we are a very democratic government that is coming in, that respects and allows the will of the people to freely express themselves the way they want to express themselves. Thank you so much, Comma Denford and Dr. Amai, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Comma Jaulo, for such a passionate and wise submission. Indeed, you are very right to say whatever we say or we deliberate on should not be a discouragement to those who are at home. Yes, there's brutality, there's intimidation, but we should keep the fire burning. We should keep people encouraged. And even if we cannot vote, we can still go home and volunteer to protect the vote, like you said. I like that submission. Thank you very much, Koman Jabulo. At this time, I'll give the mic to Dr. Diamond.
Hi, Dr. Murise. Mkoma Denford, how are you doing? Mkoma Zimbabwe, Mambo Social, I can see you. Mkoma Max, Mkoma Njavulo, Mkoma Champion. Those are the people on the speakers. So, Murise, how are you? And Warikuma listeners, how are you doing? We appreciate you, Mkoma Denford and Dr. Amai, for being consistent with opening spaces where we discuss issues like this. What I want to say is pretty much what Mkoma Njavulo said, but I'm saying it in a different and a female voice. Anyway, I'm just wondering where my fellow sisters are at, because looking at my spaces are kuitwa, ndiri kuona madzimai hapo. There are no ladies. Panongori nemi muri kunhingikina. Muri kuhosta Dr. Amai. Handizivi kuti vasikana madzimai muri kupi. Guys, come through. Let's talk about our country. Coming to the issue yatiri kutaura nezvayo, you would realize kuti izvo Mkoma Denford, Dr. Amai, we've had a space like this before where we were talking about, handizivi taitaura I can't remember what exactly you had named the space here, where we were talking about Mapurisa coming through kuma universities, kuma colleges, arresting us, and Anamambo Soso vachitaura how they were made to, they were dehumanized. It was right. Isusu were hailing from Morgan Teachers College, kuchitika zvaitika izvozvo. You will notice kuti izvo, the way that ZANU-PF has been in the 80s is pretty much the same way they are today. Avachinji. If they are changing, vanochinja for the worse. While everybody else is aiming at good, how can we actually do things better for the betterment of our people? ZANU-PF seemingly inotogara pasi kufunga kuti what can we do to dehumanize vana? What can we do to actually harass and even kill people, which is very, very much shocking. Mkoma Denford, do you remember kuti pakauya vamwe mai vakauya vakahallucinata vakati hazvinamboitika, zvazodai ndikati where are people coming from? Vanhu vanombodefenda ZANU-PF vanenge vafunga here kana kuti kungodefenda for the sake of kungodefenda? I think ndambokata ipapo, but what I was wanting to say is munoona vanhu vanouya vachidefenda ZANU-PF ne-brutality ine mapurisa, which is very obvious. And you just think kuti muri kurarama in this world here yatiri kurarama kana kuti we are living from a different planet that we are living, watiri kugara isusu. Because if you go back to even tikasada kuenda zvedu in the 80s, going back padhuze apa panana Tonderai Ndira apa, it's very, very near kusikure. Most of us, we know who Tonderai Ndira is. Muchaona kuti izvo, we can't but just see the brutality of how our police is. I don't know how you cannot not see it, because for me it actually infuriates me when you look into 2023 right now. Patiri Panap, how many times have we seen vanhu vachitwa arrested for reasons that we can't even kana mwana ane 5 years, if you ask them kuti what do you think kuti munhu asungirwa, you can't even come with an explanation. Right now we've got that lady, I don't know whether you guys remember, there's a lady aka approach. This is the second time that I'm talking about this woman. Mapurisa akauya akazoita what's the word, where they create a human kind of a shield, if you like it, vakaita bumper to bumper to each other. There was a woman who came and approached them and asked them kuti imi ndiudzei kuti imimi makadai hamuna kana nduweya makapfeka, you don't even have an underwear. Kana uine underwear you are very lucky. Kana kuroora mukadzi wakagara naye kumusha hauna kana kutombomuroora. You can't even afford to buy a house for yourself. Even motikari kuenda kubasa munokumbira lifts from us, from the general public. You can't even afford. But what you are coming here to do is to actually brutalize people. For what? Kuti vanhu ngavasa accessa rally, havafani kuti vaende kurally. Saka you can see how much this thing called ZANU-PF is actually panicking, like my brother Jabulo has just said. If elections don't work, because I've been on spaces, you hop from this space to the other, from this one to the other, and you get the gist of what's being spoken about in a space. Then I was on a space recently where I had people not going for decided to end my elections. As much as I respect that that idea, do you think ZANU-PF will stop because I'm going to my elections? What do you think they're going to do if they have the audacity of killing people left, right, and center? Arresting people left, right, and center. Fadzai Mahere the other day, she was there addressing people as far as why she had been there. I think it was in relation to the delimitation report or something like that. The way that they approached her, she had to jump into a bystanding car. I promise you, if she had not jumped into that car, we would have gotten Fadzai Mahere arrested. Right now, we'll be talking of Fadzai Mahere being refused the bail. Or could Aita say what is the most that she would have done? It's on the spotlight. If Fadzai Mahere is going to be treated like that, what about your mother? What about your granddad? They don't even, because they know that people like Fadzai Mahere are people who are on the spotlight. Today, Fadzai Mahere is arrested. The whole entire world knows. Talk about you, talk about me, talk about your grandmother, your grandfather in the rural areas. The government of ZANU-PF does not freaking care about its people. We've got jobs, kind of like Mkoma Njabulo said. We started counting in weeks. We started counting in days, 7 days, 8 days, 2 weeks, tapeza months, before we realized we're talking about 360 something days. Today we are talking about a year which has gone to pass with Job Sikala being incarcerated for what? And convicted for what? We do know what happened to the Nyatsime 13. We know, there's no one who doesn't know that. That's ZANU-PF for you. That is how they function. That's how they operate. And at the end of the day, as much as we can talk, as much as we can try to boycott elections, my elections, they are going on the 23rd of August. What do we do? That's the question. A lot of people are asking. Some people, let's boycott, let's do this. Yes, we can boycott, but elections are going on the 23rd. And people, Namwe Zimbabwe, ndio iri kuto campaigner for us, because we have tried to campaign and we are not allowed, because police will come for us. The moment we try to campaign, they will come for us, they will arrest all of us. All of us, whatever, anything that's against ZANU-PF. It's not democratically right or politically right for you to affiliate to a different party which is not ZANU-PF. So they will come for each and every single one of us. So what do we do? Mango strategy, like Mkoma Njabulo said, Namo Zimbabwe is already campaigning for us. Why do you think all the gogos in the rural areas varikuti Mkoma nanga apindi? Kumatebele ndikutauti akangeni. Uko kuninkini kubinga hanzi anjile Mkoma nambu zvinonzi chiko statement yavanota. Everyone is speaking to the same statement. Mkoma nanga apindi. Why do you think they are doing that? We haven't campaigned as freely as we would have done during the Mugabe era. We would have been campaigning kuchitwa violence, but at the moment we clearly know once you open your mouth, you are incarcerated. 365 days you are in like Job Sikala. You did see what happened to Makomborera Rizivishe. If that guy was not as strong, as tall as that, would have been in prison as I'm talking, mark my words. Akaramba kwa arresto goreri akati dambrai maoko achi, it was at night. When they came for him, ari kumaruzeva kumshakwa akaita naro zvekuti if it was one of you, if it was one of I don't blame women for not coming through, because guess what? If they just say, hey, ne voice in that odo, and they arrest me and go and do whatever they want to do with me. So if Makombore had not fought the way that he fought, right now we'll be talking about Makombore. What about the students? They were arrested. Takata. What crime did they commit? Why are they being denied bail? All that we talk about, it seems like ZANU-PF avatombo, as long as icho chingwa chiri pa table for them. And all we are saying all this while, And I'm on record saying, we just want a functioning Zimbabwe. That's all we want. We're not asking if you are drug cartels, if you are whatever. I don't freaking care. What I care about is let's have a hospital which is functional for everyone. If my grandmother who's got blood pressure, vachida mapirisi ebp, ngavaende paclinic here down the road, vainontora mapirisi awe blood pressure. If my sister gets pregnant, she wants to go and Nyoresa, let's say go and Nyoresa and deliver a baby safely. That's all we are saying. Let there be cancer machines that will work for everyone. Let's have a social welfare system that is functional for everyone. Let's have my roads, my death traps, like the death traps that we have in our country. That's what we are saying. But guess what? It seems like we are asking for something that is out of this world. And when you dialogue with them on these spaces, have you heard them talk about these things called sanctions? And I'm thinking, do you even know what these sanctions are all about? Do you know about sanctions? We've sat on spaces over and over again. We've had people coming to explain about sanctions in layman terms, so that kana uri daft, if you are such a dunderhead, at least you can catch one or two things. But 2 seconds after that, you see a dunderhead coming and putting through argument, yema sanctions. Did you see where Monica Mchangwa and the husband are right now? In America. But iwewe ingotaura chete America or even see it kana kuti Chamisa akamira pasaiti pemurungu. Hey, my sanctions, they are begging for sanctions. So what's Muchangwa doing and the wife in America? If Varungu were that bad. So what I can say is with our voices like this, let's encourage our people, because my elections are kuitika on the 23rd. Takaudzwa nemukadzi uya kuti there is nothing short of an earthquake in stop my elections. They're going to happen. So what do? We just go and vote, because Namo Yamu Zimbabwe has actually taught us Kutisho try for the past 43 years. We need to change. It can happen. They work my elections. If they didn't work, ZANU-PF wouldn't be shivering. That's why they are acting so irrationally like the way they are right now, because elections do work. That's one thing that works. And we vote in our numbers, we protect our vote as much as we can, and we can then address whatever comes after during that time. We will cross the bridge when we get to the river, or we will cross the river when we get to the bridge. But we need to walk towards the river to get to the bridge, or we need to walk towards the bridge to get to the river. So elections, Aka proclaim, they're going to be there on the 23rd of August. Fact, what do? We keep on keeping up with what we are doing, the way that we are actually mobilizing each other. Those that can to go and defend the vote, let's go and defend the vote. Those that can go, I know there are a lot of people, I've spoken to people who are registered to vote, but diaspora, let's go and do it, those that can. Let's speak with our people, because it takes us. We are so many. Have you seen when Tafadza Mugwadi tries to post whatever he posts? See how much CCC people come. It means Takato and Disashikutodaro, and they know us. No matter what they may try, but we are there. Dosaka mkuru wa wakazoti endai ku social media iko kumuna warakasha, because they know kuti we are here. And they know they can't do anything. It's our data, my phone edu, my computers edu, but as much as we are also doing that here online, let's talk to our people, because my people understand my voice better than yours, Njabulo. And Njabulo, your people understand your voice better than mine. Let's speak with our people. Let's resource this struggle, because the struggle yacho ndedu ndevanhu vedu. Anamai vedu ndo vari kufa kumaruzeva, anambuya vedu ndo vari kufa. They are the people that are dying on the ground. It's also we are tweeting, we are speaking from the comfort of our zones, of our homes. And most probably we will not, people of my generation, we are not looking forward to Chembera Zimbabwe. It's done, it's a done deal. But we are looking at the generations to come. We can't keep on keeping up with this stupidity of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting to miraculously change. We need to act proactively so that we can safeguard Shatina Zimbabwe. That's our birthright. Kumusha kwedu. Every single person Aripana Papa space, we are here because we love our country. As much as these Zanois can say Mazizi, Kanauti CCC, or even any other political parties that are against ZANU-PF don't like our country, we are so patriotic, we love our country. We would be proud of our country if it went back to being the breadbasket of Africa, the way that it was before. That's how much we love our country. If we didn't, we would be fine wherever we are, because we can afford to send our parents a few hundreds of pounds then they will be fine. Thank you very much, guys. I do appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Diamond, and your submission actually gives the resonance to what is happening onto the ground. When you gave an example of that brave woman who went to the police, who were making a shield and speaking to them directly into their eyes. And it is supposed to be one thing that most Zimbabweans should do. And I remember that incident took place in Marondera when we were having by-election campaigns. That woman was brave enough. That's exactly what we want. The only thing that people have got to know is the problems that are in Zimbabwe are the ones that would cost everybody to either use the resource that they have or to quickly go to the vote and vote after voting and defend the votes. The issue to do with going to be polling agents on a voluntary basis, I'm telling you, it is something that is an innovative idea that people should really contemplate, especially people who are in the Southern African region, close Botswana, Zambia, South Africa, different parts. You can just take your 2 weeks or so, even a week, and make logistics. I wouldn't want to believe somebody who come from those places would want to also use those resources. So let's say, make logistics. Those who can do it can do it. If you are not registered, If you are registered, then that would be a double blow, double kick to ZANU-PF. You see, go and register at the same time as you become a polling agent, protect the vote. That's important. Regarding pemkana uno kuna chief svosve vaenderera mberi nokutaura kwavo, then tozopa Zimbabwe and knife. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother Denford, Dr. Amai, all the speakers here, and everyone here. I think I already answering the question that Dr. Amai and Denford are asking. Police brutality, voter intimidation. Just by being here, just by having these kind of spaces, we are already providing a solution to what we can do about police brutality, because we can't stop police brutality. There's nothing that we can do about it, because for you to stop violence, you have to exert more violence. As a party, as citizens, it's not our philosophy to do that. And we also don't have the capacity. That's the honest truth. We don't have the capacity to match ZANU-PF pound to pound when it comes to violence. So what we can do is to have these spaces talk about the intimidation, so that we try to get around the issues of police brutality and voter intimidation. We empower each other. We give each other education, what we can call voter education, and we publicize what the police are doing, what ZANU-PF is doing, so that everyone knows what is going on. The international community need to know that this is what is going on in Zimbabwe. These are the Mnangagwas, the officials in ZANU-PF that they invite in international meetings. They're killing people, they're murdering people, they're doing arbitrary arrests, and they're passing these senseless laws like the Patriotic Bill. We need to make the United Nations know. We need to make SADC, as much as we say it's a toothless barking dog, but for the records and for record purposes, they need to know what is going on. And I think we have done that, but we can do more. Have more petition our home countries where we are living, the British government, the Americans, anyone who cares to listen to us. They need to know what is going on in Zimbabwe. Have more spaces like this so that people know what is going on in Zimbabwe. Do you know that right now some people in the diaspora are not supporting the struggle, not because they don't want, but they don't understand the problems that are there. So the more we have spaces, the more we have people talking about the situation in Zimbabwe, the more we have people understand what is going on, and the more people will be more willing to support what is happening in Zimbabwe, our struggle. So I know a lot of people have already said a lot about what needs to be done in as far as police brutality is concerned. Burumango approach, as Dr. Diamond was saying, it's a strategy that we can talk about, because in dealing with this issue, there are some strategies that we can't talk about that the party are implementing, will always implement, and they're implementing in this 2023 elections. But there are some strategies that we must talk about. There are some strategies that can only work when they are publicized, when people are educated about them. And one of them is the Burumango strategy. And it just did not come. You know, there was research that was done by our elections department, by our organizing department. Remember, previously we used to, actually target in our, say, I can use the word foolishness. We used to target the people that would go to ZANU-PF rallies, attend ZANU-PF meetings. We even targeted the people that took the farms when there was the land redistribution program, because those people were associated with ZANU-PF. Receiving something from ZANU-PF was seen as you being aligned to ZANU-PF. But after that research, it changed, because we actually saw that we lost ground. Now we have resettlement areas that are full with ZANU-PF people. But if we had allowed our people to take those farms, to take those resettlement areas, we'll be having a mixture of CCC or MDC people and ZANU-PF people. So after seeing that, we said, let's use the Burumango approach, go to the ZANU-PF rallies, take, when they come with T-shirts, take the T-shirts, wear them, go to their meetings, go to their rallies, even here in the groups. We are no longer afraid of being targeted if you are seen in a ZANU-PF group, because that's the Burumango approach. Get in the group and hear what they are saying, even post what you want to post in those groups. If it is in the rural areas, kanakoya chibage, tora chibage, kanakoya mari, tora mari yacho ujge. If they come with maize seeds, it's your money, it's taxpayers' money, use that. And when they invite you to a meeting, go to that meeting, but inside, you'll be knowing that I'm just going there so that I'm not targeted, because ZANU-PF used to just say, okay, we were at the rally yesterday at the growth point. You didn't go because you support CCC, or because of that, we take it that you do not support ZANU-PF. And those people will be targeted, their houses burned down, they'll be beaten up. But now, it's now our duty here, the people in the diaspora, and of course, those in Zimbabwe, to tell our parents, to educate our parents, and tell them that this is what you can do. And it works, and it's working even now. Supporting the victims will be my number 2 submission of what we can do to get around police brutality. Let's support the victims of police brutality. If they burn down a house, as citizens, let's come together, let's rebuild that house. I know the same thing was done with the people in Nyatsime. There was a fundraiser that was trying to repair the houses or rebuild some of the houses that was destroyed. When Nguwe died and he left children, More Blessing died, paid the ultimate sacrifice in this struggle. Mr. Tuesday, all those people have children, they have relatives. Let's try to get to them and help them. And Amaindira and Zamara, those people. So what it does is it strengthens the people. Where ZANU-PF will be saying, Unofira Mahara, look at what your CCC is doing. No, your child was beaten up or your child was killed. Did you see them? But they'll be seeing us now. We'll be supporting them. So the people will know that if I am arrested, if I am killed, my family is going to be taken care of. So that's one thing that we can do even here in the diaspora. Let's look out for our victims. And it works. That's the reason why you're seeing ZANU-PF will be trying to put the wedge among us, saying CCC is neglecting Honorable Job Scala. They're just trying to tell you that, or to tell all the other comrades that we can arrest you. When we have arrested you, when we have incarcerated you, your party that you are supporting doesn't care about you. So don't listen to those lies. They are just using that strategy to try and tell you that stop participating in Triple C activities. Because if you are killed, if you are arrested, your party will forget about you. So let's make sure we support our victims, we support our comrades, and we support the people that are left behind. Projects like Change Radio, let's support them. And now we have the bulletin, the party bulletin. There are many ways to support. Even just seeing Change Radio News and you forward it to someone, you post it in your group, you see the news bulletin. We know sometimes maybe you guys, you may not even want to read that or listen to Change Radio News because you have so many sources of news. You have CNN, you have BBC, you have social media, you have Twitter Spaces. But I'm telling you, the people in the rural areas, they need these things. They need the information. They need to know what is going on. That's their only source of information. ZBC, ZTV, you know that they will just be chanting ZANU-PF propaganda. So we only have Change Radio, we only have our bulletin, and of course we do have VOA. So share those, but above all, let's support projects like Change Radio, because what they do, they are able to inform someone who is in Mutare that there was something that was done. The youth did a program in Uzumba Maramba Pfungwe. And when they hear about that on Change Radio, the people in Masvingo will be saying, oh, so there's actually something that is going on in Uzumba Maramba Pfungwe that is supposed to be a ZANU-PF stronghold. So there are actually people that are brave enough to have meetings in Uzumba Maramba Pfungwe.
because they know that once they empower the people, they give information, they give knowledge to the people, people understand their rights, people understand that they can actually remove a dictatorship by voting. And once people are empowered to that extent, ZANU-PF will be a goner. So ZEC will never do voter education. Even though they have a budget, a big budget for voter education, they will not do it. You're going to see 1 or 2 flights that they're going to do, when we are about to get to the election. But we are on our own, as Nkoma Champion said, we are on our own. We have to do our own voter education, and voter education begins with you talking to your family members, talking to your community members, going to where you were born, where you grew up, make sure that you spread information in your community groups. Just be posting information, and word of mouth, just talking to your people also helps a lot. ZANU-PF, all of us, we used voter education, in a big way. That's how we won our war of liberation. We used to have those who grew up that time. Kwainzi mapungwe, vanhu vaenda kumapungwe, vachinorara ikoko. Kwainzi morari. You would sing, people would dance, but in between there, people would be given, a lot of information about why we are fighting and how cruel the Smith regime is, and where we are going to be, what the new government, African-led government, who is going to do to the people. So people became so brave that they continued to fight. They continued to do everything, even though it was dangerous. Kubikira vakomana, kupa vakomana, huku kubikira chikafu nekuita sei. Our mothers and our fathers continued to do that because they had been given the information. They knew why they were doing that. Yes, they were afraid, but they overcame that fear by, that fear was overcome by, the information that they got. So that's what we need to do right now, Kumaruzeva. We need to make sure that we talk to our relatives. Why should you have a sabuku or a chief tell your people, your relatives, your mother, where to go and vote? That's your job. That's what you need to do. Uda kuudzirwa chief wekuti vanovhotera kuti zviita sei. And if people are empowered, they will know that, like a previous speaker was saying, that even if ZANU-PF comes and tells them that, or the sub or the chief, as they always do, that we are going to see you when you are in there, we will see that you voted for Chamisa, and we're going to come and deal with you. Did you see what we did to those people in that village, Harvest of Fear? We are going to burn your house. We're going to kill you the same way we killed More Blessing Ali. We killed this and that. But the people in the rural areas, when they are informed, when they are educated, they will just ignore that. They will come and talk, but they will know that once I am in the ballot box, nobody can see. Nobody is seeing me, But that can only come when we have done our part as citizens, educating our people, empowering citizens. Citizens that are empowered will know what to do, even when there's a lot of fear that is being exerted to them. Even if they're beaten up, they will still remain resolute. So as I conclude, all I can say is citizens, the last thing, our last line of defense when it comes to police brutality, voter intimidation, is ourselves, our unity, the spirit of oneness, the spirit of togetherness. Let's remain one. Let's work together. We are all working for the same thing. I'm saying this because I've seen what is happening right now during our candidate selection process. You see a lot of vows being exchanged in our WhatsApp group simply because the person you wanted to be MP has not been nominated, or the person that you didn't want to come back as member of parliament or as councillor has been brought back again. And then, of course, we talk about the process. We talk about, what could have been done, what is not working, what is working. and the unfairness of the process. Some will be saying that, and these are our own people. It is CCC people. That's one thing that that caused us to move away from having structures. The people fighting, the infighting within the people. In any process, champions, in any process that we have, even if we're going to have primary elections, there were going to be disgruntlement. There is never a perfect process. So even in the process that we have, which I think is the best, in terms of giving people power to nominate their candidates, we are still having issues. But when you have those issues, let's know what to say in the public arena. There are channels that are there that you can, people that feel that they were unfairly treated. There is a process. You can appeal to the commission, and your issue will be heard. I saw it happening in Bulawayo. It's working. Some people were actually disqualified. Do you know that in Bulawayo there were over 25 councillors and members of parliament that were disqualified? By who? By the commission. So it means that process is working. There is a process that is working. So why not use that instead of putting all our information, washing all our dirty linen in our groups, demoralizing each other, demoralizing the people that have just joined the party, that want to support us, that we're educating, that are here. So let's remain together, folks. Let's fight this. Just 70 days that are left, or even let me just read this verse that I like so much, that is circulating. I think some of you have seen it. If you have not heard it, it's powerful. Ecclesiastes 4:12. An enemy might be able to defeat one person, but two people can stand back to back to defend each other. And three people are even stronger. They are like a rope that has three parts wrapped together. It is very hard to break. If we are together, if we remain united in these next 69 days, I am telling you, on the 23rd of August, we'll all be celebrating. Let's remain together. A spirit of oneness, spirit of togetherness is critical as we walk this journey. Thank you, Dr. Amai and Denford.
Hey, Mkoma, before you leave, I have a question. So, well, I know I'm hearing the conversation from everyone. Protect the vote. So based on what we know, what are we protecting, the vote, or are we protecting the X? Because at this point, based on the steps of the voting process, the delimitation report, the ungazetted census, all of what is going on up to now, there is no vote to protect. The protection opportunities have been broken, violated. There is no, the language needs to change, because I think it's misleading people when we lie to people using English terminology. When we say protect, there is no more votes to protect. That process has been violated, is the reason we're here today. So we need to change the language so it's not deceptive and misleading. There is no vote to protect at this point in 2020, according to the Zimbabwean election timetable, which we have. The opportunity to protect the vote passed long time ago.
Okay.
So let's not lie to people, guys. No, I'm just saying English can be tricky. When we keep saying, because all we're protecting right now is the opportunity to put an X on a piece of paper. That's all you're protecting right now, guys.
Okay, my brother.
Thank you.
Let me answer you and maybe even ask you a rhetorical question. So what do you want us to do? Do you want us to boycott the election? What do you expect?
No.
I said rhetorical. I said rhetorical because,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so you can come in after that. ZANU-PF, my brother and everyone here, is never going to lay the red carpet for us so that we walk into the State House giving us roses on the way and maybe hugs and kisses. They will never do that. They've already told us, they said it in so many times, that they are never going to reform themselves out of power, and it's not going to happen. The party has done the best that it can, If I can tell you that the people in the elections department have not been sleeping for the past, I don't know how many, trying to come up with documents, writing letters to ZEC. You saw Fadzai Mahere and Ellen Shiriedenga going to ZEC, challenging them. How many court cases have we heard about elections? The party has done what it can. Of course, we could have done more, and we can still do more. And even us as citizens, we can do more in terms of protecting the vote. But the situation is what it is. This is a dictatorship. It's politics. It's not church. We can't expect ZANU-PF to do it for us. We have to do it ourselves. You heard, about the terminology that the dictator will never voluntarily give you the freedom that you want. The oppressed, the people that are oppressed, the citizens that are oppressed, will have to demand freedom from people. Lesotho, is it Lesotho? They did it. Read about their story. They went to election when there was a deadlock in parliament about the process of voting. They did not. There was no voter law that was implemented that they previously discussed and agreed. But what happened in Lesotho? The ruling party did not even win even a council seat. So it is possible. We can do what we can under the bad circumstances. We can do what we can under the unlevel playing field. Nothing had been done in 2008 when we overwhelmingly won that election. So for us to come on the spaces and say there's no vote to protect, I think we are misleading each other. We are discouraging each other in a very big way. And I don't think that's the direction we should be taking. I thought you were going to be asking about how are we going to be defending the vote in Zimbabwe. And I thought you were also going to ask, how are we preparing to defend the vote, even us, because it shouldn't be a prerogative of the people in Zimbabwe to defend the vote. We want to see Zimbabweans in the United Kingdom gathered at the Zimbabwean embassy in the UK 2 days before the votes are announced, before the 23rd of August. We want to see Zimbabweans in Canada, Zimbabweans in America, Zimbabweans in South Africa gathered at their embassies protecting the vote. It's protecting the vote as well. If the results are not announced, let those in UK remain at the embassy. Let those in Canada remain at that embassy. That's the discussion we should be having right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mambo Sose, and thank you, Knife. Let's get back to our current topic. Thank you, Mambo Sose, for your earlier submission. Let's remain encouraging people to remain focused and to resist the brutality and the threats. Because of our time, we will not be taking new speakers, but we'll deal with the speakers that are currently on. So let me quickly give this time to Salani, and if we could do at least a maximum of 3 minutes each, so that we also give time to kiddos, and then we wind up our discussion. Over to you, Salani.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Maifa and Denford, Sister Diamond, good to see you. You see, when I see my people, Diamond champion, Zimbabwe, I feel welcome. I have to look at who's on the speaker's podium first before I even grab the mic these days. I don't know what's going on. Because I've got, you know what I'm talking about. But, when I see a space like this and you're talking about it, it's a topic that is really close to my heart. I felt I want to tell you about the experience I had on this general chat. It was last week. We were dealing with the whole issue of brutality, right? We were dealing with what happened to a fellow brother. The incident, him being beaten by so many police officers with bats and sticks. And they'll say he was disturbing the road, this and that. Why was he there? So I went there, knowing that I wouldn't put any sense into their brains, because obviously the brains are sort of empty. And one of them, the princess, she used this word which really frustrated me. She said reasonable amount of force was used. And I thought to myself, if this princess and her dog, because princess, if it were her dog literally being beaten up with those button sticks, right, for doing something that's considered disturbing the peace, would she be talking the way she was talking? Because this is kind of the thing that I've understood about ZANU-PF. Unless it's happening in their house, right? Unless they feel it is happening to someone close to them, they don't care. They will literally bring all manner of excuses and say the person deserved it. Then I gave her an example of something that we know about George Floyd. That how do you measure reasonable force? Because they could have arrested him, right? Because there was a number of them, handcuffed him, put him in their car, taken him to the police station, told him, police in other countries. You're told your rights, you're told, oh, you shouldn't have done this. Nothing happens. Abashan say button sticks, right? When they don't even use any sort of weapons against you. And when the moment they do, you know that they are going against your constitutional rights and they can get into trouble. I used that example of what happened to George Floyd and how the citizens came together and how those police were actually convicted, because how do you measure reasonable force? Measure say, don't move on to okay, it's okay. So when I asked her that question, do you know that she didn't have a response to give me? She said that I asked her, could no measure say, let's say an individual right now has got even asthma. We know that many Zimbabweans suffer from ailments that you might not even know of. How then do you say to that extent, Kokanani heart problem, Kokanani this and that problem? How do you then sustain a statement it was reasonable force? And just saying that I got removed from the space, which I knew would happen. Actually, I think I removed myself because and I just exited. So the point I'm trying to make here is, if we have a situation where people you consider to be Zimbabweans also don't see how evil something is, how wrong it is, irrespective of what has happened, you say, they did right. And then if that is your child, if that were a family member of yours, would they say the same thing? This is the question I always ask myself, because it's like that saying, this is the kind of situation that we have. But I guess also what I'm trying to say here is, when we've realized that we've got people like that in society, people we meet in the world who act in Zimbabwe, who actually think that what's happening, they will even tell you, this topic, police brutality, we are wrong. There's no such thing as police brutality, because they have not faced it. No one is open enough to say, sure, they shouldn't have done that. There are better means of dealing with the situation. We want better police force. We want better systems. But, it brings us back to that whole issue of our institutions being captured. And I guess this is what we've known for the longest amount of time. The police are captured. The judicial systems are captured. Most of everything that we know is captured. And as a result, it is up to us, every single citizen that was talking here, except for the one ngati boycott election, because I don't believe in that. But when the moment I came in and I was listening to the message, I definitely resonate with that. Let's remain focused. Absolutely. Let's keep the going, because that is what ZANU-PF is trying to do. By this brutality, by this voter intimidation, it's trying to scare us away from the goal, to make us not think clearly. Now we have students, we have children. This could be my kids, your kids being arrested. Some of them are not even known their whereabouts. All this is done. And imagine, because they were asking simple question, a job scholar, he's been arrested for so long. And for real, he has. Who doesn't know that? Even the people that don't know that he's been incarcerated for so long. But they won't come and tell you these things because of who they support and the narrative they want to run by. And why? All because he defended and your sister was brutally murdered. And ask yourself another question. Why have we stopped talking, Majinji? Not all of you, but I don't see other Zimbabweans besides very triple C, not more blessing. What is going on as Zimbabwean citizens? Why is it like we act as if the issue has been dealt with? Why don't we talk about Itai Dzamara? Why don't we talk about our fellow brothers and sisters who've been persecuted, many of which we know their names and we don't even know what happened to them? Why is it we have sort of this amnesia where we stop to mention their names, to say their names out in the open? Because The moment we don't speak about it as one people with one voice, what we're saying is we are not concerned. What we're saying to the world, because you know what the world feeds on? The world feeds on continuity. Something you're going to keep on mentioning, no matter the distractions, no matter what happens, because ZANU-PF will distract you. There will be different issues that are coming up. What about the gold mafia? Why are we not talking about that? Has the gold stopped being looted? Has it stopped? I find these are some of the reasons why a lot of the issues that Zimbabweans experience, police brutality, voter intimidation, the reason why they don't, like the world ends up responding to it, is because we ourselves kind of forget about it. Not all of us. I'm not going to say that. I know people I speak with on platforms, and I'm on Champion, in Zimbabwe. We always engage in Denver, Dr. Maifa. They open spaces like this where we talk about it. But what about you who's never opened a space? You who's never spoken on a space? What are you doing about it? When was the last time you mentioned our fellow sister who was brutally murdered? When was the last time you mentioned her name? When was the last time you demanded justice for her? Or did ZANU-PF just arrest someone? Someone has been arrested, justice has been found. Because that is what ZANU-PF does. It makes us forget. It makes people think, even the world think, oh no, we've dealt with an issue where we know nothing has been dealt with. And the only way you can support, all of you, I know you may support different political parties. The way you can support your political parties is by helping them to get these messages across over and over and over again. The attention span here. It is so short that you have to say it about 150 or 200 and 250 times before it sinks in. That is what the world, because when you're looking at the world in general, guys, and I'm going to remind you about the Patriotic Bill. Look at what is being put in place now. In Otauraguti, if you have meetings, if you do this, it means you're this. This is the moment when you need to start talking about these things before such bills get put into place. And another thing, please, Musa votere again. Any MP who agreed for that bill to pass, all those 99 MPs, you should know who they are. That should be the message you should be sending, Kuti. If you are going to re-elect someone who voted for a draconian bill like this, you are basically being brutal to yourself. Police brutality, because that's how it starts. The next time a police officer arrests someone or beats someone up, I can't even say arrest. Let's say beat, because they don't arrest, they beat. When they beat someone else, do you know what they're going to say? Oh, they violated the Patriotic Bill. This is why ZANU-PF puts these things in place, so that things like police brutality, voter intimidation can continue. Why? Because they want to stay in power. But the moment you start speaking more about these issues, advocating and actually raising awareness for someone else to start speaking out, because this is the problem that citizens have, and I don't blame them. ZANU-PF creates an environment where you're afraid to speak out for the voiceless. You're afraid to literally speak out even for yourself. But if we speak out as one people, one mind, one heart, the same way that tower was built in the Bible, and God had to say, if we don't put confusion, what they imagine to do, they'll do it. This is the same kind of thing we have here, where we have to be one in our understanding of things. We may disagree with certain things, but overall, we all agree ZANU-PF must go, don't we? Except for ZANU and eventually they will listen to what we're saying. So if we agree that ZANU-PF must, how are we going to make that happen? We're going to make that happen by raising awareness. We're going to make that happen by speaking out for the voiceless. Those brothers and those sisters who've been abducted and we don't know where they are, you need to continually speak out for them, so that ZANU-PF never thinks that you've forgotten. So that ZANU-PF is aware that these Zimbabwean people, if we keep on doing what we're doing, these people will remove us. The same way they decided to remove their own Mugabe, they will be shocked they will remove themselves, just by knowing that citizens have stood up for once as one and agreeing on a matter. So I'll land there for now. But honestly, guys, we just have to keep on supporting each other. When someone is hurt, please don't. It doesn't mean that you have to know them for you to stand voicing out and supporting them or advocating for justice. That is what we want. So whenever you hear that this has happened, and even I pray to the next time situations like this happen in Zimbabwe, mupurisa kana kangoonekwa achirova munhu, people should be brave enough to rally around vachitisiyanai naye. We need to have citizens that has that from vachimira as one. They can't finish all of us. But for that to happen, we need to start understanding each other. We need to start respecting, loving one another, so that in the event that anything else like this happens to a fellow brother and sister, we'll be united in our fight. Thank you so much. I'll let it for now.
Thank you very much, Salani, and I'm happy that you have highlighted the fact that in as much as we might have our differences, but the bottom line is our objective is to make sure that the status quo has to go away. But at the same time, even as I see a number of SANU-PF people here, I will never want to make them outcasts. If they would want to engage and speak about what has to be done for Zimbabwe to come right, I always give opportunity, because I really understand that some of them could be, actually all of them, they are just under a bondage. They need to be moved out from there. So if somebody comes and they need to come here and speak about what has to be done for Zimbabwe to go right, we are definitely going to be in the same lane. That's what we do. SANU-PF guys who are here, unfortunately, we are almost getting to the end of our program. But in our program, we always encourage you to come. Let's engage positively, like we have to do when we get into the parliament. We know you guys are going to be a minority, and we will be making sure that you are also given space to speak. But thank you. Let's have, like we said, we are going to be closing our program just right now. When I give you Zimbabwe, you will be giving your submission as well as your closing remarks. All the people who will be speaking will be just giving their closing remarks so that we close. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Zimbabwe.
Thank you very much, Commander Ford. Thank you very much, Dr. Maifa. Thank you very much to all the speakers, Dr. Diamond, Mambo Sose, Mr. Knife, Bosalani, Champion, Citizen, Dogs, everyone who has spoken, and all the listeners. Thank you very, 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 very much for your time. These are my closing remarks. I made some earlier remarks, and I mentioned a number of things. It was an impassioned speech, as was said by Dr. Maifa. But this time I would like to go down to basics a little bit, because of what has been agreed and what has been said, and just remind us of how our messages can be carried forward, because I think we can agree that we now need to sound like broken records and repeat the things that we have been through as a people. The first question that I'm going to ask in my closing remarks is, what happened? Well, in short, I'm going to try and stick to my topic. And I'd like to encourage everyone to try and use the same method. If you feel like you might be going astray, what happened is always what I ask myself, or what is happening. ZANU-PF is rigging elections. ZANU-PF has rigged elections. ZANU-PF is intimidating people through fear-mongering. ZANU-PF is threatening to beat people. ZANU-PF is putting in structures that are known for being violent and repressive. ZANU-PF is putting in structures that are going to violate human rights. ZANU-PF is going to put in structures that are going to violate its United Nations conventions and the promises that it made. When it went to the United Nations and cried and said, we will not do this because Smith regime is doing this. This is what happened. This is what is happening. This is just a small synopsis. So why is this important? So what? Well, in short, ladies and gentlemen, this involves real people. This involves real human lives. When the politicians are standing on their, podiums, when they are sitting down in the United Nations, when they are arguing, they might turn around and say, oh, there were only 2 women that were raped. 2 is too many. Or ED might turn around and say, oh no, there were only 3 girls aged 9 who gave birth. 3 is too many. Oh no, we only let out 10 rapists or child molesters. 1 is too many. That is the so what. That is why it is very important that we are systematic with the way in which we give our message. And then, whilst we are going to the end of it, we then have to come in and say, now, what are we asking for? This is coming to the crux of the Patriotic Bill. ZANU-PF doesn't want us to come out and say, what is next? Because when you present to people that are learned, they'll always say, so what do you think is the solution? In the conclusion, it doesn't matter who you're going to be talking to. Most heads of states have been to school. And the people that work on documents are scholars. This is just a matter of fact. If you go there and then you only say, this is what happened, this is why it's important, and then you don't come out and then say, and this is the solution that we want, or that we feel we need, and we need you to help us get this solution, they more than likely will throw away what you've said and say that this one has just come. It's an empty vessel making noise. That is why the Patriotic Bill was formed. ZANU-PF signed up to conventions. It signed up. Nobody asked them to do it. They did it willingly. But they have not signed up to the Convention Against Torture, summary execution, and enforced disappearances by the state. They have not. They have not. So, what's next? It's simple. I've put out a tweet and I've tagged a number of different organizations to say I'm likely going to be targeted by ZANU-PF because I will be sharing and I will be communicating with people that are in different governments, highlighting the things that ZANU-PF is doing. And I'm going to be giving them the what's next as well. And the what's next is what is prescribed as punishment for governments that do what ZANU-PF is planning to do. I hope I've not lost anyone with my closing submission. And I really thank everyone for coming and for giving us this time. Please, let's keep on following each other. Let's keep on fighting for those who have been incarcerated. And let's not forget those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Koma Zimbabwe. Yes, let's keep united. And like you rightly mentioned, for those who are incarcerated, those who have suffered brutality, let's support them. And Mambo Sose has already said that let's stand with families that we know have lost their breadwinners, families of Misty Tuesday, families of Zamara, Ndira, whoever we know, let's support them so that they know that we are with them. At this point, I will call upon Koma Champion to give his parting shots. Koma Champion.
Oh, maita basa mukatipawo mukana wokutaura. Tinotenda kune vanotiteerera. Imwe inenge isiri nyaya yekugona asi kuti inyaya yekuti tibatsirane. Panguva inoyi, I think I would suggest that all those victims of police brutality, ZANU-PF brutality, and other painful things that have been encountered by the people, we have to support them in whatever form. And also, let's make it a point, and let's make sure that we do try to teach our people, especially in our groups, wherever this message must be sent to each and everybody. Ukaona munhu ane 81 years achiti unoda chigaro, iye ava chirinda chiri kufamba, zviri kureva kuti iwe neni hatina zvakutiri kuita. Whenever you are voting a moving grave, then it means I have stopped seizing, I have stopped living. Musavhotera marinda anofamba, anozama kunzvenga mhosva dzavakapara, nokuti ivo vanofunga kuti kuramba vari pazvigaro will save them. Saka inguva, nokuti ma-elections aripo pamberi apo, inguva yokuti iwe neni ngatipinde pabishi. Kana taimbotaura zviya zvaichiti unoziva nguva ino unoziva akudonata and the like, kana kuti chii kupa support and the like, ino inguva yokuti hama yangu nzwisisa dambudziko reZimbabwe, kugara mubako kwauri kuita nekwandiri kuita hakubatsiri chinhu kana usina chounobata namaoko ako. Ukaona une imba younongonongedza nechigumwe usina kuivaka, uri dununu. Sei ndichidaro? Vazhinji vedu panapa nokuda kwokuti we don't prioritize our country and our problems as the source of everything. We are going to be doomed to fail. Ukaona uchindovigwa pasori pechikwenzi seheti, kana undorashirwa musango sechikiti, ziva kuti hausati waziva. We can speak all the nice speeches, languages, and whatever, but let's restore chinhu chinonzi Zimbabwe. Ndiwo mudzi wako. There is no ever mudzi or root other than Zimbabwe. Izvezvi ukachekwa ropa, ukachekwa kana kungogumiwa kana kuchekwa nechitanda, uchaona ropa rinobuda ipapo rakatonyorwa kuti Zimbabwe mukati maro. Saka iwe semwana weZimbabwe, nguva inoyi ndiyo kutopinda pabasa. Basa rokudii? Rokusunungura nyika kubva kune zvidhara zviri useless. Kune vanhu vari useless even on these platforms. Variko. Wokuti unotaura nyaya kuti ngatigadzirise nyika, unotota unozwa indiri muLondon ndine mari. Benzi. Gudo risingazivi zvarinoita. Ndio unoona kuti rinonakirwa. Unozwa hama tinoda kumboti tisunungure nyika. Indine madegree 40, uri benzi. Zvizive kubva nhasi, benzi rakatukwa naMwari kanzi harina charinoziva, ende rakati moyo maro Mwari hakuna. Simbe inotukwa inoendeswa kumujuru because of its stupidity. Ukaona uri panguva ino uchifunga kuti chidhara chakura chakwegura chine 81 years chichakugadzirira nyika, iwe uri kuona kuti reti izvezvizvi iri kutemura. unosera uchiti unoziva kune chinhu chinonzi kwai haiwa rate icha hakuna unostabilize rate. Mbavha haistabilize rate. Chero unoziva mbavha haina musi wayakambonzi yakaba bhengi mangwana yakanzi yakamuka yakuona the same bank inema. Mbavha will never build Zimbabwe. Kana uchida zuva rinobuda nokumavirira. Kana uine nharo, kana mbavha yavaka Zimbabwe iri inobuda nokumavirira. And ndinopika even though chiri chivi, nhasi ndinopika kuti ukaona wewe uchiti zvanzi kwai haiwa eZimbabwe ichavakwa nomunhu wakaivondonga, unonyepa. Inguva yako yokuti nguva ino uya tibatane tivake Zimbabwe kuitira kuti vana vedu vawane pokugara, nokuti mangwana vachazonzi pavakamira hapasi pavo. Pavakatsika vanenge vari muZimbabwe papa. Hatiri muZimbabwe takatsika vanzi aiwa iwe hapasi pako. You are prosecuted for being in this area. Because hatisi kunzwisisa. Tinofanira kusvika pakunzwisisa kuziva kuti Mnangagwa nezvipororo zvake nezvizukuru namapoto must be condemned. ZANU-PF nemagosi awo must know kuti there is nothing else better that they can do on Zimbabwe except failure. Kana vachikunyeperera chikutatidza kuti tinogadzira maroads and the like, vauze kuti maroads avari kunyepera ari kuitwa mapotholes mangwana makuseni. Why? Because zvinhu izvozvo mashort jobs. Vanofunga kuti vakangwara but havasi kuziva kuti chi havana kungwara. Musanyepera hama dzangu. Reti takakuudzai kare kare kuti hamuichinji, vamwe mukaita nharo, vamwe munoita mbiri yokuda kuita maeconomist enhema musingazikamu futi. Economics dzacho hamudzizivi, asi munowanikwa muda kutaura nhema. Handiti inyaya yokuti hausati wava nepfungwa dzako dzakaiswa tsvina nokukara. Bvisa kukara iwe mwana weZimbabwe, uvake nyika yako, uve nerukudzo, uve nerukuvhute. Kana usati wakuda kuva nerukuvhute, ita zvokutevera vana Emerson Mnangagwa vanonhuhwa kukonewa. Vanonhuhwa nhamo. Emerson Mnangagwa is stinging poverty right now. Kana ane chinhu chaakamboita, ukaona une leadership inotaura kuti takarwa hondo, kungodai poga poga takarwa hondo, wakagwa hondo, and then what? What have you done besides kutaura kuti wakarwa hondo? What else have you done? In a country that does not have a banking system that is functioning. Unotonzwa dzimwe zitofara unoziva tine gold coin. Wakamboribata, unoriziva. Izvozvo wakati pfara uri muchipako umomo muEngland, monenge uchinyepera uchisapota ZANU-PF nhema, iwe uchiita basa rokutengesa nhumbi nokutengesa manyatera. Unofunga kuti kungwara ukoko. Panguva ino, kana uri mwana wakabva kuvanhu, teerera. ZANU-PF iripo, chigosti iche chakasiwa naMugabe, because ZANU-PF yakafa naMugabe. Zvasara izvi zvidhoma zvake. Hakuchina chinhu chinonzi ZANU-PF. Even ukataura izvi kuti kune chinhu chinonzi, hakusisina futi chinhu chinonzi MDC. Usazvinyepera uchiti unoziva kune MDC kune chakati. Pakasara zita chete, zvizhinji zvakaenda nevaridzi vazvo. Hakusisina chinhu chinonzi MDC. Saka ukaona uchiri paposition yokufunga kuti unoziva chakazoti chimbomira, gadzirisa nyika kuti ugoziva kuti une zita. Right now hauna zita. Ukaenda kune dzimwe nyika kune vanotaurisa zvavo, uchanza kuti nali kwere. Inda kuBotswana ukuozi nali kwere. Inda kuSouth Africa uchanza nali Girigamba. Why? Because the moment you lose your home, you don't have identity. Handei tinovhota, tibvise Mnangagwa nezvidhoma zvake nezvipororo zvake nevanomutevera nevanonetsa paTwitter. Let's remove all those nonsenses out of us and let's teach them one lesson. Zimbabwe inovakwa nevanhu vane pfungwa dzokugadzirisa nyika, kwete mbavha. People who monetize donations from Russia. milling helicopters and the like. Dununu rinozikamwa nokuchinja mutupu. Simbe inobonekwa nokugova zvomufi. Ndo basa resimbe ro. Ndo saka ichitukwa. Nokuti basa rainogona kuda kudya zvamahara nezvamarema isingashandi. Takanzwa kare zvose zvana kunzvi dhemu chichi zvakaitwa kare. Muna mamwe madocuments ariko. Asi unoona rimwe nhasi riri kufara kuti anoza ndoda kuti kwai game changer. Iyo kareti chiita game changer tioneka. Police brutality must come to an end, and it must be the role of each and every Zimbabwean. Zvenyu zvokuti munoita chispace muchiti Jobs kalanga arrestwe isusu tiri vana nhingi tinokuzivai nguva yenyu ichakwana tichasonga nawo nemi musi wazvinoti zvachinja zvava kwedu tinouya tichikuti nhai handikuhlii and ndinotonamata kuti Mwari ndipe upenyu ndoda kutina vanhu vanoita basa rokuti nguva yekuti tishandire Zimbabwe inake imunoita varakasha. Munoita vanhu vanotumwa nezvinhu zvisina basa. Hamutonyari kana zuva rimwe rounonyara kuti unoziva deno tavaka Zimbabwe tadzokera kumisha tanogara zvakanaka tava nerukudzo tava nedignity taitwa vanhu panyika. Hamuna hanya nazvo. Basa renyu chete nderokuti unoziva deno imasemi nangagwa andipa imwe $10 deno andipa imwe $20 ndozopuwa maini. Ufu wakapuwa maini. Wakashandeiko? Chounopucho chinokupisa maini chii? Wakashande. Kana wakuda kuvaka nyika uchaziva kuti hama nguva ino ndoyokuti tibatane tivake Zimbabwe. Tavaka Zimbabwe tozotaura mberi. Vazhinji vanonyepera kuda unoziva zvakazoti zvikazoti. Nguva ino ngatishandei, ngatibatsiranei, ngatiite zvinoita. Let's go and defend that vote. And make sure that hakusisina Zimbabwe inongoitwa navanhu vatatu vachizviti ndovene vachienda kunana America vachinakirwa vachindomwa tii vachinakirwa vachikwira majeti iwo nongosera uchitiwa basa rokuti wambuzva pano patwita uchiti wambuzva uchifarira kuti wambuzva uchishandiswa. Unoziva takakumirira tiri kuno kuLondon takazodai. Hama yangu Zimbabwe inoda iwe neni kuti tose tigadzire pfuma yamangwana yevana, pfuma yauri kubvumira ichipambadziwa nana Mnangagwa uchifunga kuti wakangwara. Hauna kungwara. Vana vako vachatongwa nevana futi vaMnangagwa, vachaitwa mbato nevana vaMnangagwa futi nezvizukuru zvaMnangagwa nokuti unenge uri benzi risingagoni kurangarira chinhu chakakosha at this point kuvaka Zimbabwe. Ungandivenga, ungandida, asi kana usina kuvaka imba yako yokugara, uchaona kuti poga unoitwa Roger. Sei uchiitwa Roger inyaya yokusanzwisisa. Handei tinovhota. Tobvisei, tobvisa tsvina iri kutungamira nyika yedu. Tobvisa rima riri kutungamira nyika yedu. And rima racho munoriziva. Ndo riri kutonga, rokuti iro rinodliwa haridi kubva. Ndomboita mamwe makore okuba. Mbavha must not lead us. I have no any other words, but ndiri kukurudzira munhu wese kuti kana une zvaunogona kuita, ita basa. Ngatibvisei tsvina inonhuhwa, nhamo inonhuhwa, shuku. Emerson Mnangagwa is another shuku and must be dealt with this election. None else can be done. Let's go and vote. Defend that vote. Make sure that we install a government that makes sure that each and every person is respected. Any government that comes in future that has no respect of human life must be condemned forthwith. Thank you.
Maita mukoma champion mambo zvose tokumbira word renyu rekupedzisira after which Dr. Maifa modivharirawo space yedu.
Much, Goma Denford. Just a few call to act as we walk the last stage in our struggle. Let's just be prepared to do the best that we can as citizens. Find something that you can do, plug in somewhere. I know most of you here are not in any organized platform or structure, but you come from somewhere. You have a community somewhere. Everyone who is here was born somewhere, grew up somewhere in Zimbabwe. Make sure you're providing support for the people there. Send them flyers, posters. You can do 10,000 flyers with $100 or at most $110. And if you need directions where to go, where it's cheaper for you to make good quality flyers, our candidates in those respective areas will need posters as well, not only for the sake of candidates, but also for the voter education that we're talking about. You can design any flyer that you want in terms of the information that you want to communicate in your area. Let the flyers and posters be in our vernacular languages so that everyone can be able to read them. We do have a number of fundraisers that are going on if you are here and you don't know. And that's one thing that we need to deal with as citizens here. When we have these platforms that you have created, Dr. Gwekwerere, Koma Denford, and many others that hold spaces, let's let them multitask for us. We don't have time, we don't have resources. Yes, we want information to get to the people, but how about we also, get a few dollars from people that would have been touched, that want to contribute, that want to do something to the struggle. Let's have the links up there. We have call to act. We have women's fundraiser. We have youth fundraisers that are ongoing. And we do have, asks or requests from the party for even houses, cars, trucks. We don't have that. We're going to rely on citizens, even on the money. As much as we are going to get people to donate, we also need, things like trucks or cars that our leaders can use. If you have a car that you have that is in Zimbabwe that you're not using, there's paperwork that people will sign that car or that truck will not be misused. It will not be used for pirating, and it will be returned immediately after elections. You can also specify where you want the car to be used or the truck to be used. If you have a house that you want to, or that you were renting out that is empty right now, we need all that. Maybe we may not disclose for what purposes. And of course, all those things will come with serious vetting. We'll talk about it. We'll ask a few questions so that we know whatever we are doing is safe. But there's a lot to be done. There's a lot of work that we need to do as citizens. It's all on us. We are on our own. We just ask each and every one of you to do the best that they can. Let's be prepared to support the party. And I always say, if you're giving $200, $300 a month, it's time to double that amount. If you have not made a budget for the struggle in the next 2 months, you should start making a budget on your paycheck. If you're getting paid bi-weekly, you should actually be saying, you know what, I'm going to give $150 and you allocate it. I'm going to put $50 to call to act, $50 to the women, $50 to the youth, because all these fundraisers, they're important in their own way. Who doesn't want Takuzwa Ngadzore and his colleagues to be going to all the areas in Zimbabwe, the length and breadth of Zimbabwe, speaking to the youth, speaking the youth language. Vachitaura chirudzi chavo chavanenge vachitaura vakati takachimasta chigame chacho vanenge vachinzwanana. Chief Shoshe cannot speak to the youth. They will not understand my language. Then you totaura tsumo nemadimikira. So we want the youth to speak to the youth, and the youth, they have transformed nations, they have transformed countries. Most nations that we have seen that have changed their countries, they've used the youth. So it's critical that we support the youth. Women constitute over 50% of the voters in Zimbabwe. We want Amaya Mkwada, we want the Women Task Force to be speaking to other women, fellow women, speaking women issues, and educating each other on the need for them to vote for change. So they need to be supported. We need to defend the vote. How is the vote going to be defended if you are not donating to the fund? How is the vote going to be got out? Because we need to, even before we defend the vote, we need to get the vote out. The process of getting the vote out involves resources. People need to move, whether it's door to door that is being done or it's rallies that are being done. It costs about $8,000 to hold a medium-sized rally in a small city like Gweru or Kwekwe. If it is Harare, you need about $10,000 to $12,000. So we have already said that we had a record 87 rallies in 2018. Now we are looking at doing more. So you can imagine how much money is needed, how much resources are needed. So please find somewhere where you plug in. If you are here in North America, we have several fundraisers that we do, particularly, for the people in citizens that are in North America. I'm saying that because of the payment items that are there that you use, Zelle, Cash App. So we open them up to all the citizens that are in North America. Get in touch. If you're in UK, there are people there. Get in touch and make sure that you are doing something for the struggle. Thank you very much, Dr. Amai and Denford and everyone else who is here. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much, Mambo Sose, for your parting words. Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, there are many initiatives that we could engage in to assist as we go towards the elections. We are left with just 2 months.
Dr. Amai, sorry. And let's pray for the party. Let's pray for the leadership. Let's not forget the people that are praying every day. It's critical. We without God. We can do everything else, raise the funds and everything. Let's pray for the party.
Amen. So, like Chief Sose said, there are many initiatives. Just find somewhere where you plug in. There's Call to Act. There's CC Direct Fundraisers. There's also MAP is polling station. Freeman Chari is asking us to map polling stations. There's an app there. Map a polling station and adopt a polling station. Sponsor. Do something, that can be useful for us to defend the vote. And also, let's disseminate positive information to our people in the rural areas there, even in the urban areas there, to encourage them that voting still helps and it still counts, so that those who are discouraged can get encouraged, and those who can disseminate whatever form of information, it could be news, please do so. And also, let's continue to pray for the country every day, like 1:30 US Eastern Time, and then UK time, I think it's I don't know, but I know it's in about 20 minutes time in UK and even in Africa. So just calculate from there. There's always prayer. So you can follow Mike Kuku, you can follow Mazmai. Let's pray for the country, because prayer really works. And I want to take this opportunity to thank every speaker, to thank every member of the audience for coming to this platform. It's very encouraging, even, when such topics are organized and people don't attend. It's even very discouraging, because when people come up with a topic, it's something that's pressing and we feel for the people back home. But if we come together as a family now and we are in unity and we deliberate on issues, it brings some kind of hope to everybody. And whatever is happening, even if we disseminate news to those back home, let's present them in a positive way. Tisanyanya kuvatyisa, kuvavhundutsira. Chero kune zvakaipa zviri kuitika, let's find a way of communicating so that people will still be encouraged to vote. We want to thank our host for giving us this time and for creating this space. Otherwise, have a blessed week, everybody, and God bless you. Let's meet in 20 minutes time as we pray for our country. Thank you.